What up, everybody? Mumble something.
They were shipped to retailers nationwide, and many of the bags have already been sold. Anyone who has the chicken patties should throw them away. A consumer complaint led to the recall, and anyone concerned about an injury or illness should contact a healthcare provider.
Stuck in Chicago traffic. Screw that.
A picture of the label within the story at 953mnc.com.
That's 953MNC's Brooklyn Baby reporting. Weather sponsored by
Okay.
What? What?
I didn't say anything.
You said K. Just said it.
I was reacting to this. Sorry. I was reacting to something I was saying. I thought you... I wasn't talking to you. I rarely talk to you.
Yes, I know. Like my wife. You rarely talk to me, but when you do, it's at the most inconvenient time.
It's so inconvenient. Is that the zip photo? I can't tell if this is the zip photo.
I don't know, is there a giant zit on there?
I'm looking. But it's small, so I can't really...
Is that for the motorcycle thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's the zip photo. Or they edited out the zip.
I might have bitched about it enough a month ago.
Perhaps.
You've fallen so far that you can't see the light of day. You give up all hope. I think the only way that people really make it out of that deep pit is somebody sticks a ladder on it.
Deep pit.
It feels deep
Deep pit.
That's what I think I really admired most about Big Brother. Because they reintegrated you back into the workforce. The idea is for people with barriers to employment, is to break down those barriers, get them used to coming to work, get them used to punching in on time, send them out in the open job market and let them fly. It gave me structure. It gave me a plan to do on It amazes me that it works. And I'm amazed with the happiness
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest.
I'm exhausted. I'm ready for the day to be over.
News. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home,
I am
now
ready.
is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you
She's
shop
going
for your
to
new home.
Bethel.
With a Rate Shield approval,
Calm
if
down.
rates go up,
She's
your
not
low
gonna be
rate stays
20,000.
low. But if rates go down, you get that new, even
Well,
lower
you
rate.
know.
Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to
Well, you know.
rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
God, Friday sucked. Here we go.
From the final phase electric studios, from the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right.
This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send me a text message at 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. If you mention me, you get 50% off your range time. It means you get to shoot twice as long for the same price. Plus, you get discounts in the store. So if you buy your targets and your ammo and your accessories while you're there, that's all cheaper. And if you decide you just don't like the gun that you have or you want something else, then you can buy one of those with listener-exclusive discounts simply by name-dropping me. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. All right, so let's talk about Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib, member of Congress, anti-Israel member of Congress, pro-Palestinian member of Congress. By the way, there's so much over there that never gets reported by American media. So there was a survey recently done. because the Palestinians rejected another peace deal thing with Israel, and a majority of Palestinians opposed their leadership's rejection of that deal, according to the poll. American media didn't mention it at all. So American media will talk about Hong Kong all day. They will not talk about the Palestinian people not liking their leaders, who are basically terrorists. Okay, they don't like that. So anyway, Rashida Tlaib, she is deciding not to go to Israel. Her grandma lives in the West Bank, apparently. So anti-Semitic BDS supporting Democratic Representative Rashida Tlaib decided not to take Israel up on their offer to let her visit her dear old grandmother. This is what she was tweeting out. And then I'm going to tell you why it was all a lie. Okay? This woman right here is my city, S-I-T-I. I guess that's how you say it. I don't know how to speak the language there. So she deserves to live in peace and with human dignity. I am who I am because of her. The decision by Israel to bar her granddaughter, a U.S. Congresswoman, is a sign of weakness because the truth of what is happening to Palestinians is frightening. Now, keep in mind, Rashida Tlaib is anti-Israel, okay? She has said anti-Semitic things. The BDS movement, which is the boycott Israel movement, is rife with anti-Semitic language from the group that originally started it. And she has proposed and supported legislation that would support boycotting Israel in the United States. When I won, it gave the Palestinian people hope that someone will finally speak the truth about the inhumane conditions. I can't allow the state of Israel to take away that light by humiliating me and use my love for my city to bow down to their oppressive and racist policies. And again, anybody who knows anything about Israel knows that Israel is many things, not racist. Silencing me and treating me like a criminal is not what she wants for me. It would kill a piece of me. I have decided that visiting my grandmother under these oppressive conditions stands against everything I believe in. Fighting against racism, oppression, and injustice. That's what she said. Okay. All right. Now, again, she's a part of a movement that advocates that Israel be erased. Okay. So now, if you're the Israelis, why would you let somebody into your country that is openly advocating and pushing their government to pass something that would destroy you? Why would you let them into your country? So Ilhan Omar, there's no dispute that Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite. There's no reason for an anti-Semite to be allowed into Israel. But Rashida Tlaib is less public about her anti-Semitism, and she's more about no. I don't like Zionism and Israel. That's all. That's all I'm about. They do this plausible deniability thing. The problem is that, and we did this on the show. We went to the BDS movement's website. We went over all their frequently asked questions where they deny the anti-Semitic stuff, and then you go right over to their charter where it's all in there. Okay? So it's kind of like when Hamas says, no, we don't want Israel to be destroyed. We want to live in peace in Israel. The problem is that Hamas's mission statement is to destroy Israel and kill all of the Jews. So it doesn't really work. Now here's something pretty interesting. I'm going to read you a letter. Okay. Now this letter happens to be a letter from Representative Rashida Tlaib. It was sent to the Israeli Interior Minister, Aryeh Deri, I guess is how you say it. Now, I'm going to read this letter to you because keep in mind, Rashida Tlaib said, because Israel reached out after they were banned, okay, her and Ilhan Omar were banned from going to Israel. And then she started talking about her grandma. And then Israel said, okay, we will let you visit your grandma. We didn't know your grandma lived here. We'll let you visit your grandma. And then she went out on a Twitter storm and said, no, I will not go to Israel under oppressive conditions and things like that. All right, this is a letter from Rashida Tlaib. Okay, it's very important that you understand that I am reading a letter from her. She lists it as it's dated August 15th, which is yesterday. The Honorable Aryeh Deri, the Ministry of the Interior in Israel, gives the Jerusalem address. Mr. Deri, I would like to request admittance to Israel in order to visit my relatives and specifically my grandmother, who is in her 90s and lives in, she lists the city, or the borough, whatever it is, Beit Yer al Fakwa. I don't know how to say any of that stuff. This could be my last opportunity to see her. I will respect any restrictions and will not promote boycotts against Israel during my visit. Thank you. Rashida Tlaib, 13th Congressional District of Michigan. Okay. I will respect any restrictions and will not promote boycotts against Israel during my visit. So yesterday, Rashida Tlaib sends a letter to the Minister of the Interior for Israel and begs to be allowed to go to Israel to see her relatives, specifically her grandmother. And she promises to meet any conditions that they set. And she promises not to boycott Israel at all while she's there. She promises to behave while she is in Israel. And she did this yesterday. All right. Now, today, she's running around and telling everybody that when Israel allowed her to visit her grandma, there was a bunch of oppressive stuff and she would not be silenced. Pretty different story on her side of what actually happened. She continues to tweet, silencing me and treating me like a criminal is not what she wants for me. Talking about her grandmother. It would kill a piece of me. I have decided that visiting my grandmother under these oppressive conditions stands against everything I believe in. So why is it that yesterday she wrote a letter begging Israel to let her visit her grandmother, and Israel said, okay. So she wrote the letter. I want to visit my grandma. I promise I'll behave. I'll be on my best behavior. I will not protest Israel or advertise and promote any Israeli boycotts or anything else while I'm there. I just want to see my grandma. And Israel says, okay. And then she runs to Twitter and says, I cannot. They've put all these conditions on me and I will not go to Israel. It's a political ploy. None of this was real. I don't think she even wants to see her grandma. Or somebody did. I don't know who said it. Somebody today said that Rashida Tlaib chose her hatred over Israel over the love of her grandmother. But, again, if she just wanted to go to Israel to see her grandma, because her grandma's in her 90s, she's going to die soon. If she just wanted to go see her, then why didn't she go? She made the request. Israel accepted her request, and then she backed out. She's a young enough person to understand that when you send these things, they exist forever. If you send any correspondence, whether it's paper or email, it never goes away. It's always going to be available for the public to consume, especially if you're a member of Congress. And everything that you do with your letterhead, as she did, is now public information. Unless, of course, it's classified. Well, unless you're Hillary, then, it doesn't matter. So Rashida Tlaib, just in summary here, Rashida Tlaib begged Israel to let her go to see her grandma, and Israel said yes. And then she made the false claim that Israel was putting all of these conditions on her and it was oppressive and it was wrong and everything else, when it turns out she made the promise that she would behave herself and not promote boycotts of Israel while she was there. And Israel accepted those terms. And now she's claiming that they're the ones that forced them upon her. Nope. She's a liar, ladies and gentlemen, just like she's been lying about all of these other things, including the BDS movement not being anti-Semitic. We've got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
First day of school went really well, Rihanna. Went really well.
5 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Michiana's news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey? Are you calling about
Bree was running around.
Alrighty, can I get your first name?
Stuff, though. She didn't have any homework.
Alrighty, I'll try to get you on there.
So then she played a word game on the television, and the word game was her homework, she said. So she seems in the spirit.
A couple of them could be on the stronger side. For Monday, we'll hit a daytime high of 88. Partly cloudy skies, a break from the rain before more scattered showers and thunderstorms move in on Tuesday. And it definitely is going to stay hot through that. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist.
I think I read something today that they asked the grandma about it, and the grandma was totally unaware that any of this was happening. So, I'll see if I can find that here in a minute. But pretty sure I saw that earlier.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith
Like, hey, what do you think about your granddaughter and all of this? And she's like, what are you talking about?
Call me at 574.
I only read the headline though, so let me see if I can find it.
5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location. I am not a realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy even more.
Actual headline. Did anyone else happen to catch that John Hickenlooper dropped out of the race on Thursday?
I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses.
Did anyone happen to catch that John Hickenlooper was running for president?
Exactly.
Trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs. Great, because I love buying damaged houses too.
You're probably aware, but don't forget the fee giveaway starts tonight.
Yeah, for the
If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678.
You mean the sale
for a
of
cash
tickets?
offer today. That's
Yeah, the sale starts today. Excuse me. Sorry, I sound like crap.
It's okay.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger Pacino. Did you know that not only has Afton been voted the top dentist in Michiana a record 18 times, but also voted the best place to work in the entire area? If our employees feel that way, just imagine what that means for your experience. That's right. If they
Did you all notice that
better care for you and your family?
Bernie Sanders did a whole sit down with Cardi B?
It's real.
Really?
We'll do everything possible to
She's a rapist and a thief.
exceptional care, detailed
Yeah.
explanations, great work, and comfortable financial arrangements. It's no
What?
wonder that after
You're so desperate for the hip hop vote that you're going to sit down with a rapist and a thief?
Or simply call 277-2220. See what patients
In other news, somebody else has accused Katy Perry of sexual harassment, this time a woman. So she's got two people who've accused her of sexual harassment now.
And there's still a lot of warm weather left. Change your old central air conditioner and furnace for just $18 a week. Plus, get a free water heater and clean comfort air cleaner. Now until August 31st, 2019, with home comfort experts, heating, cooling, and plumbing. That's right. Get a free air cleaner and a brand new hot water heater with system purchase. Summer is when it seems like every AC unit in the country decides to stop working. It's a nasty trend, but we can help. So if you already know it's time to replace yours, Home Comfort Experts has an expert that has anticipated this trend and negotiated directly with the manufacturer. Rock bottom prices on these units. With savings on these units, make your payments super low. If your current system is older than 10 years, we can replace your old central air conditioner and furnace with more efficient ones that make it possible that you may actually end up even with payments and savings. Just call 255-3600 and get your new central air conditioner or furnace for no money down and $18 a week. Plus, get a free water heater and air cleaner with system purchase.
There's been some talk around town that Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill's menu was getting an upgrade. In the morning, remember the phrase, early bird gets the breakfast burrito? Breakfast is now served 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily at your favorite Mexican restaurant, Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. Monterey's breakfast menu boasts the same high quality you'll get the rest of the day, made fresh daily to keep you coming back week after week. Try Mexican and American breakfast classics with some new items mixed in alongside your favorite hot and cold breakfast beverages, with 3 alcoholic options to choose from too. From burritos and skillets to combos and omelets, Monterey's new breakfast is something you need to experience. And the best part is you can dine in or order to go on your way to work and they'll make it the way you need it. Off McKinley Avenue, just past Division Street, and online at MontereyMexican.com. Wake up early with Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill for breakfast. You know it's what you want.
Oh, so the village that her grandma lives in, Israeli occupation of that village ended in 1995. It's now governed by the Palestinian Authority, not Israel. Now you have to go to Israel in order to travel there, but it's not governed by Israel.
Don't miss out on the accessory discount. Stop by Caitlin Ace on August 24th for Grill Fest. Visit CaitlinAceHardware.com for more information. Traffic weather every 10 minutes on the 16th. Wrap up all of the day's
Oh, somebody doesn't know that Cardi B is a rapist. Easy Google search. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Just as somebody on the live stream asked us, we were talking about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders sat down and did a whole interview thing with Cardi B. Now, Cardi B is a rapist and a thief. She's admitted to drugging men, sexually abusing them, and then stealing from their home. She's admitted to all of this. And so here's a presidential candidate sitting down with a known sex offender who's never been held accountable or charged. And there was actually, to their credit, many women in the Me Too movement who said, whoa, we have to hold her to the same standard. There were many women who did. That has never happened. Now, statute of limitations, nobody cares about her so-called career, I guess. I don't know. But there's Bernie Sanders, who is running for president. He's sitting down doing a whole thing with her. When was the last time that we had a president sit down and do a public event with a known rapist, Joe? Any idea? Or no? I'd have to look that one up. That's an interesting one. We're talking about Rashida Tlaib, Representative Rashida Tlaib. She was banned by Israel. Okay, Israel said that her and Ilhan Omar cannot come to Israel. And she said, but wait a minute, my grandma lives there, and I need to visit my grandma. I promise I'll behave. I won't promote any boycotts of Israel while I'm there. Please, I just want to see my grandma. She's in her 90s. She's going to die. And I want to make sure that I'm able to see her. Israel says, okay, then, since you have a grandma here and you have relatives, we will allow you to travel to Israel so you can go to the West Bank and visit your grandma. And at that point, Rashida Tlaib runs to Twitter and says that Israel was trying to oppress her with her visit. She wrote the letter and offered to behave herself. Israel just accepted her terms. Now, something else that I have learned is that Rashida Tlaib's grandmother, this village that we talked about her living in, is under Palestinian control. Israel ended their occupation of that village in 1995. So it's been under the control of the Palestinian Authority for the past 24 years. So when she says that her grandma is in occupied territory, it's a lie. It's a complete lie. Now, you have to travel to Israel to get into the West Bank and be able to get there. But, yeah, it's not true. So it's just, I just saw this one, the village, which I cannot pronounce. I tried it once. I'm not going to do it again. This village is not under Israeli control at all. It's under Palestinian Authority control. So there is no Israeli occupied anything with her grandma at all. None whatsoever. To the phone lines we go. Jim, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hi, Casey. I think the Congresswoman's real problem is that Israel did not play by the rules. They were supposed to continue refusing her permission to come in, and then she would go out and just bash Israel for being so barbarian and uncaring and insensitive. And I think that when they didn't play by her rules, then she had to do something else.
Yeah, they kind of ruined the narrative because they showed compassion. Oh, you've got an elderly relative here. Okay, well, yeah.
Right.
And they said, crap. Now, look, honestly, I can't find the story that I saw earlier, but somebody apparently found her grandma and asked her about all of this and what her thoughts are, and she was like totally perplexed and didn't know any of this was happening. So it's
did she even know her grandmother or her granddaughter?
I don't know. I didn't read the article. I just saw like a quick little thing, and I decided that I wasn't going to use it in my show prep, and now I wish I had saved it. Because I didn't read the entire thing. I was just kind of doing other stuff. But it did. It like popped up onto my thing. It was like grandma didn't realize what was happening and all this other stuff. We also have our itinerary too. So we have the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu said, no, not coming. So we've got her whole itinerary here. But yeah, she didn't anticipate Israel, one, to have compassion. And she also didn't anticipate her letter begging Israel to go to be released to the public. And now she's just been caught red-handed. So
be careful what you wish for.
There you go. All right, man. Appreciate the call. Thank you much.
Take care.
And by the way, one of the things you should have realized that Israel would have let you go anyway, not just because you have relatives, or they're notorious for allowing people to travel to Israel to visit, but also You're a member of the U.S. government. Even if you are somebody who doesn't like Israel, you're still a member of their most critical and crucial ally, and they're not going to do anything that could anger even their supporters. And one of those things, if you're Israel and you don't want to get on America's bad side, is you don't prevent Americans from visiting their grandma. Okay? So, because that would still turn, if the story were to ever remain true, which now her whole story is just blown up in her face. But if that story were to remain true, you would see other people who are pro-Israel and don't believe in what Rashida Tlaib believes, which is destroying the nation of Israel, who would say, you got to let her visit her grandma, man. You can't just keep her from visiting her relatives. That's not cool. Yeah, she's a bit of an idiot. She says some dumb things, but I mean, come on. And so Israel had really no choice. They did the right thing. So now, let's take a look at the tentative agenda for the U.S. congressional delegation to Palestine. Reagan Battalion posted the agenda, which is all public information too, by the way. I mean, you can get all of this. So, you know, it's got the whole arriving in Tel Aviv and departing in Tel Aviv and all of this stuff. But, you know, it's got all of these things in there that made Benjamin Netanyahu say, yeah, wait a minute, hold on a second. U.S. congressional delegation to Palestine. I thought you were supposed to be coming to Israel. What's this about? So according to her own itinerary, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib chose to refer to Israel as Palestine. So, see, they're going to Tel Aviv. So I'm going to say this again, because I know that maybe you missed what I was saying. U.S. congressional delegation to Palestine arrive in Tel Aviv. And then if you look at the agenda, they're all in Israel. So they called Israel Palestine. So Netanyahu and his people look at this and go, no, we're not going to have people who are erasing our nation from the planet coming to visit, whether they're members of the U.S. government or not. And at that point, Rashida Tlaib says, please, my Mima lives there. She's 90-something. And I promise I won't advocate for boycotts. I'll behave. And Israel says, all right, only because your grandma lives here. And then Rashida Tlaib says, I'm not visiting my grandma because you're trying to oppress me, you racists. So you can look at the whole itinerary online. I mean, they literally see. Here's the thing: Rashida Tlaib says that she backs the BDS movement, and that the BDS movement is not anti-Semitic, and it is not calling for the destruction of Israel. And yet she's pushing the BDS movement, who does say in parts of their charter, using tropes, that they want to erase Israel, and then she erases Israel in her own agenda as she is going to Israel. She erases it and turns it into Palestine. So, yeah, they talk about Jerusalem and a bunch of other spots that they're going to be in Palestine, even though they're going to be inside the nation of Israel. So, like I said, the Israeli authorities looked at it and said, yeah, no, we're not going to let people come to our country who erase us off of the map. That's not going to be okay, whether they're representatives of our greatest ally or not. And then, of course, we find out that her grandma, lives in a town that Israel doesn't even occupy, and they haven't occupied since 1995, and yet she's running around and telling everybody that her grandma lives in land that is occupied by the Israelis, except that it isn't. She's referring to Israel being an occupier. The entire nation of Israel is an occupation of Palestine. That's what she's referring to, not just the neighborhood that her grandma lives. So, again, completely showing who they are as anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Dean said earlier that Obama sat down with Clinton. I was like, someone had to sit down with Clinton during something. There had to be something there.
And there had to be something with Clinton. I was going for the more, we know for a fact, has admitted or has been convicted rapist. Yes, there's pretty good evidence that Bill Clinton is a rapist, but no actual criminal case.
South Bend man faces a list of charges after being stopped in Elkhart County yesterday.
32-year-old Daniel Kuwach's charges include possession of heroin, possession of cocaine, 2 counts of possession of alleged drug, 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of NDA, dealing narcotics, operating while intoxicated on a controlled substance, and by endangerment. Things started tailing him on the toll road as they say he was weaving back and forth. They even tried to stop him at mile marker 92, but he continued for another 4 miles before finally stopping. They told the officer he was listening to Last Dance with Mary Jane and didn't see that he was being pulled over. In total, they pulled 7.5 grams of suspected heroin, 8 grams of suspected cocaine, another half a gram of something they couldn't identify, and 47 pills out of his vehicle.
Okay, so the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, posted on Twitter on his official account, "No country in the world respects America and the American Congress more than the State of Israel. As a free and vibrant democracy, Israel is open to critics and criticism, with one exception. Israeli law prohibits the entry into Israel of those who call for and work to impose boycotts on Israel, as do other democracies that prohibit the entry of people who seek to harm the country. In fact, in the past, the U.S. did this to an Israeli member of the Knesset, as well as other public figures from around the world. Congresswoman Tlaib and Omar are leading activists in promoting the legislation of boycotts against Israel in the American Congress. Only a few days ago, we received their itinerary for their visit in Israel, which revealed that they planned a visit whose sole objective is to strengthen the boycott against us and deny Israel's legitimacy. For instance, they listed the destination of their trip as Palestine and not Israel, and unlike all Democratic and Republican members of Congress who have visited Israel, they did not request to meet any Israeli officials, either from the government or the opposition. A week ago, Israel warmly welcomed some 70 Democratic and Republican members of Congress who expressed broad bipartisan support of Israel, which was also demonstrated a month ago in a resounding bipartisan vote against BDS in Congress. However, the itinerary of the two congresswomen reveals that the sole purpose of their visit is to harm Israel and increase incitement against it. In addition, the organization that is funding their trip, the Miftah, which is an avid supporter of BDS, and among whose members are those who have expressed support for terrorism against Israel. Therefore, the Minister of Interior has decided not to allow their visit, and I, as Prime Minister, support this decision. And then he continues, he goes, nonetheless, if Congresswoman Tlaib submits a humanitarian request to visit her relatives, the Minister of Interior has announced that he will consider her request on the condition that she pledges not to act to promote boycotts against Israel during her visit. So then she did, and then she still won't go.
Recovery to end a rough week in the markets, the corn market especially. Soybeans, September 8.67 up 9 1/4. Nobi 8.79 3/4, up 9 points. Jan beans 93 1/2, up 9 1/4. September wheat 4.70 3/4, up a penny and 3/4. Livestock did work higher but fell off by the close. October live cattle 98.05 down 47. Lean hogs down to $62 off the $3 limit. I'm Andy Eubank. Who's your ag today? Timely, relevant, credible.
Fox Business Report brought to you by Modern Kitchen, creating your dream living spaces so you can redesign, remodel, and relax. Modern Kitchen on McKinley, east of Ash Road in Elkhart.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks are higher in the final hour of trading at the end of a wild week for the market, but the major averages are still heading for their third losing week in a row. Among the gainers today, tech and financials, while utilities are lagging. And despite trade uncertainties affecting the tech giant, Wedbush analyst Dan Ives thinks that Apple stock will continue to rise.
They're right now the poster child for U.S.-China trade battle, and it all comes down to this iPhone cycle and the install base. You have 900 million active iPhones. You think about a third of those upgrade over the next 18 months, and that's really the key of the Apple story right here.
And the AirPod phenomenon is starting to pay off for Apple, according to UBS, which estimates that the wireless earbuds could account for $6 billion in revenue this fiscal year. UBS estimates that about 7% of Apple's 900 million iPhone users have
wireless earbuds.
With the Fox Business Report, I'm Vinny Varsity.
I ordered some off of cheap website, like $20 on their way. So I'll give them a go. Figure they'll probably be good for the motorcycle.
As much as the game.
It's that time of year when the family meets up.
Hi, come on, get together, guys. Family photo.
It's a good thing Jack cleans his denture with Polydent, so he can enjoy the whole day with confidence.
Polydent.
Hi, I'm Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. Why do we carry the lines of furniture we carry? I believe in the quality. I believe that it's a value. When you're purchasing something that is of good quality, it can literally last you as long as you want to own it. The styling is typically a little more classic, so it's not going to be trendy and something you can live with and pass down. And like, for example, Stickley, made in America, all solid wood. For the Mission collection, they use solid quarter sawn white oak or solid black cherry. In their modern collection,
it was kind of funny because Twitchy had posted that before Rashida Tlaib had declined Israel's offer for her to visit, they had posted that Israel is allowing her to visit her grandma, but she'll likely turn it down. And she did. I mean, she's so predictable.
We would love the opportunity to show you what we can do. Come to C. Kramer Interiors.
Gotta love it.
University Drive next to Temper Grill and City Plaza.
Smart home technology makes everyday life easier. And now, we're making it easy to afford for everyone. Introducing the new Smart Home Collection, only from Budget Blinds. We make it easy and affordable because now we can motorize the beautiful shades or blinds you already own to work with a remote. And they'll be cordless too, a big safety necessity for kids and pets. Our Budget Blinds Smart Home Collection also features so many more choices. Top names including Sonos, the ultimate whole home wireless sound system. The best part? At Budget Blinds, we do it all for you. Design, install, and program it all. That's style and service for everyone, at every budget. Get your free smart home consultation. Go online to budgetblinds.com or call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS. Make everyday life just a little bit easier. Call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS now. At participating independently owned and operated franchises only. Ask for details.
Plenty of soybeans in storage in Indiana, and you know what? I want them all. I'm Ryan Martin with Louis Dreyfus and Clay.
I didn't know that.
Today, so much more than selling across the scale.
The Danish government supplies half of government revenues to Greenland.
We have an entire toolbox full of contract choices and options that can maximize your soybean profit potential. And I love talking about it.
So really, Greenland has fish exportation and then charity from the Danish government.
Discover your home's potential each Saturday morning on Measure Twice with Chris Kramer and Joel Kramer with experience in carpentry and interior design. They blend together a unique perspective to give you ideas, tips, and entertainment that can help enhance your home. If you have questions, email them to questions@mtwiceshow.com. It's Measure Twice, Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel. Your breaking news.
Well, and that's just it. So they could have easily gone with the big congressional delegation of 70 people that just went. They chose not to. So an anti-Israel group was funding their trip this time, a group that has openly supported terrorist attacks. So yeah, I mean, you can't deny who they are or what they feel. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. A couple people made a very good point. You know, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib could have gone with the big congressional delegation that just went to Israel not that long ago. You know, there's 70 plus people that went. They chose not to. And they were only going to Israel here because a group that is anti-Israel and has publicly made supportive statements of terrorist attacks in Israel was paying to have them go. And again, in their itinerary, they erased the nation of Israel altogether and made it all Palestine. I read the entire statement from Benjamin Netanyahu on the live stream here during this last news break, just so everybody had what the prime minister of Israel had to say about this whole situation, because he explained why they denied them entry. There's Israeli law that forbids entry on these things, and he pointed to the groups that were involved, as well as their itinerary erasing Israel off of the map and that sort of stuff. So, but he also pointed out that, you know, if she made a humanitarian claim to go visit her grandma, that they would consider letting her in. She did, and then they said, "Okay, you can come." And then she says, "No, I'm not going to go. I want to visit my grandma." Anyway, if you want to talk about that again, we'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour because today's Friday, so we will have open lines between 5 and 6 o'clock today. You can call about any issue that you want. I know that a lot of topics yesterday, a lot of people were wanting to weigh in on that they didn't get an opportunity to, so you will have a chance today during open lines if you would like to, starting at 5 o'clock. I also want to thank R&B Car Company locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. So Greenland. Now, I have never been to Greenland. I wanted to go to Greenland. I think it would be kind of cool to go to Greenland and Iceland and that sort of thing. I think that'd be an interesting trip. So this is the story over the past couple of days. President Donald Trump has reportedly asked advisors about purchasing Greenland. Okay. Can I just say, I have no idea if this is true, okay? And I don't have any official confirmation that he actually wants to do this. But it is interesting because Greenland is pretty much, I think it's a part of the Danish government. So I mean, I guess they're kind of somewhat autonomous, but not really. I don't know, is it like Puerto Rico? I think it's kind of like Puerto Rico. It's like a territory. Anyway, President Donald Trump has reportedly asked advisors about purchasing Greenland, but the world's largest island is not for sale. Trump has inquired about purchasing Greenland on several occasions, according to people familiar with the discussion. The Wall Street Journal reported this yesterday. Some of the inquiries have been serious, while others were dismissed as a joke. In other words, it may not be serious, okay? Greenland, a Danish territory, okay, there you go, dismissed the idea Friday in a tweet from Greenland's Ministry of Foreign Affairs accounts. We're open for business, not for sale, the tweet said. I wonder how many times this thing has been retweeted because let's see, it's been liked 17,000 times, which is like more than all of the people there. Greenland's government also replied in a statement, according to the Washington Post. Of course, Greenland is not for sale. The government said, according to the statement, Greenland's government said that the reports that Trump wants to purchase the island indicate an expression of greater interest in investing in our country and the possibilities that we offer. So Greenland is looking at this and basically trying to twist it into an economic thing. And they're saying, I mean, the fact that he would even be talking about it, just shows that we're a great place to do business. And that's pretty much what this is all about. It's not anything to do with, what people are actually saying about this. But again, we don't have any idea if any of this is true or not. But I did look up their economy just for the sake of it, because, I'm all about making purchases and things like that if it's going to be beneficial. So it turns out that Greenland does have some uranium industry there. So that's interesting. All right. So we do need uranium, but their primary export is fish. And so like half of their government revenue comes from fish and the other half comes from charity from the Danish government. So they're not exactly an economic powerhouse. So it may not be the best and wisest purchase in the world, but maybe there's a uranium angle there because there is apparently some uranium, or at least an industry for uranium in Greenland. And the United States does need uranium. We lack uranium here. So maybe that's where this is coming from. I don't know. Greenland is also extremely strategic. A lot of people who are familiar with Air-Land Battle 2000 will tell you that. Those of us who are in the military, during the Cold War or just after the Cold War will know greatly about that. Greenland, Iceland, extremely important to being able to prevent Europe from being conquered by the Russians. So maybe there's a strategic component to it. That's entirely possible. I don't know. Mostly, I think this is probably just a giant joke. Kind of like when I say we should conquer Canada and Mexico. And then if you want cheap labor, you live in the state of Mexico. And if you want free healthcare, you live in the state of Canada. And then the rest of us who want to thrive will live in the United States of America. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
You're breaking.
They're talking about Greenland on Fox News right now.
Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, book a comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Areas of fog this morning lasting until about 10 a.m. and then we'll see partly cloudy skies.
Damn right, China wants a base there.
We'll have isolated showers, storm chances
You know that.
in the afternoon and evening with a high of 78. For tonight, we drop down near 64, and then for Saturday, a high of 82. Mostly cloudy skies with a few isolated shower and storm chances. Now, once we get through Sunday, we'll top out near 86. It's going to be very muggy, making it feel closer to the 90s. We'll have scattered showers and thunderstorms possible.
I didn't see it, Happy. I have to look at it.
For Monday, we'll hit a daytime high of 88. Partly cloudy skies, a break from the rain before more scattered showers and thunderstorms move in.
It's in the hill.
Tuesday. And it definitely is going to stay hot through that. In the AB77 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
The station to turn to when the weather turns bad.
The new weather season is here. This is ABC 57 meteorologist Tom Coombs. If you're home when a tornado strikes, your best protection is to go to the basement and under a heavy table or workbench, or cover yourself with a mattress or sleeping bag. If there is no basement, get to the lowest floor of a small central room like a bathroom or closet, or under the stairs. Props low to the floor, face down, and cover your head with your hands.
95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
This is Casey Weed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day. We're not here to just beat our chest about our experience and education. While that may be important, we're really here to discuss you and the challenges you'll face in retirement. You are unique, and we're willing to put in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan that's tailored just for you. Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559. We're here to talk about you. 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, or just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor. What's the difference between a bed from Elkhart?
I don't open it up to a Google page, so it wouldn't do any of that for me.
Our materials and construction.
If you have a name of the article, that would be very helpful.
Because we're factory direct, we eliminate warehouses and middlemen. So the Elkhart Bedding everyday price is less than sale prices.
Otherwise, I'm just going to see if I can find it real quick on the hill.
$299. Get the most bed for your money by factory direct at Elkhart Bedding. Find out more at elkhartbedding.com.
Let's welcome everybody to global superstar Mr. Worldwide. Live in concert, performing all of his hits for one night only. At Logan's Beach on
TheHill.com doesn't even have a Voodoo Judge article in the past couple of days. So, not listed on their website anyway.
Get tickets now at Southbend Cubs box office or online at pitbullsouthbend.com.
The look of your building, outside and inside, says a lot about it. Whether it's for a thriving business, your hobby, storing your sports equipment, or just the place you call home, that building is something special. And the look goes beyond just its overall appearance. Instead, efficiency and style are what make up the look, design, and feel of your structure. At Workholder Buildings and Supply, they design all types of buildings, from homes to pole barns, churches.
Wow, really, ABC?
And many more.
ABC does not have a sorter by date when you do a search on their website.
Transform your idea into a work or
The most basic fundamental thing that you need after having a search bar on your website.
with sustainable, attractive, and affordable building solutions through their high-quality components. So if you want your new construction project to tell others you are about excellence, visit workholderbuildings.com.
The top local stories.
Yeah, I don't
all the time on
know anything about it, Happy. If you can find it, post a link to it. Otherwise, I don't have time to look for it, unfortunately. I'm interested in it, but it's not showing up in any of the places that you said it would be, so. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. So I've said that how many times? At least six times now? Okay, just making sure. I had another message that somebody left with Taylor for me today. Another one. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But anyway, 574-25-95-95-3. And again, text messages to 45364. Don't forget, in about an hour, a little bit over an hour, we will have open lines. You can talk about anything that you want. Be happy to go ahead and do that. The Proud Boys have released an official statement. Now, some stuff has been happening in Portland. I want to remind you before I dive into this that Portland, Oregon is the place that allowed Antifa to take over entire streets and neighborhoods in downtown. And that's where they were physically threatening elderly people and hitting people's cars and things like that. That was in Portland, and police did nothing. Okay. So Portland and Multnomah County officials sent out the police on conservative dissidents before a rally on Saturday. Several pro-Trump activists have been arrested over the last week, with warrants out for others as the state officially files criminal charges stemming from the brawl that took place at Antifa Clubhouse Cider Riot. None of the Antifa people involved in the melee face any charges, despite them throwing beer bottles at the Trump crew, pepper spraying media, and assaulting a student filmmaker and vandalizing his camera, and even whacking one guy with a baton as he was retreating. Again, all caught on camera. Again, keep in mind that this is Portland, okay? So this is where the police, people were really, really angry at Portland officials because the police were not doing anything. They let Antifa take over whole neighborhoods, a large section of downtown Portland, and they were redirecting traffic. They were actually redirecting traffic, and then they were verbally assaulting people. They threatened several people. They hit the vehicles of several people who didn't like what they were doing. And nobody did anything about it, in spite of it all being caught on camera. We played some of that audio for you, and nobody did anything. So another fight breaks out, okay? And Antifa's throwing beer bottles, doing a whole bunch of other stuff. They assaulted media, as they always assault media. And none of them are facing any charges again. Just like what happened with the Proud Boys in New York. Antifa started a fight. Antifa lost the fight. The police were called out there. The police asked if anybody wanted to file charges. Both sides said no. In fact, Antifa said, bleep you pig. It's all caught on camera. Bleep you pig, when police asked if they wanted to file any charges. And then what ended up happening is the mayor of New York decided that they were going to go ahead and go after the Proud Boys. So the Proud Boys have been arrested. So far, Ian Kramer is in custody on multiple felony charges. Matthew Cooper, originally faced misdemeanors of harassment and disorderly conduct, but now faces felony riot charges. Mackenzie Lewis was arrested by the U.S. Marshals on a charge of riot. And now Patriot Prayer leader Joey Gibson has now been charged with riot as well. Another person, Russell Schultz, was also picked up by U.S. Marshals in Washington. Witnesses say that Schultz was just standing around and didn't actually do anything. Others who were there but not taking part, such as independent media, are now concerned that they could be indicted as a part of the brawl, despite their passive behavior and that they were actually victimized by Antifa. So this is getting it's getting out of control, especially in Portland. The fact that this continues to happen, but again, they're not charging any of the Antifa players here. They're only going after members of the Proud Boys. Now, again, the Proud Boys are not a racist, white supremacist organization like what the media has been trying to tell you. 30% of their membership is minority. One of the guys who's being accused of white supremacy and everything else in New York happens to be married to a black woman. His children are black. And it's been a large conspiracy to distort who they really are. And it was all started as just a group of guys who happened to support the president who got together and had drinks. That was it. It wasn't started as a gang or an organization to go out there and attack people or anything else. They were repeatedly attacked at various venues, and they defended themselves. It was really that simple. But now it's continued to escalate, and now you've got, of course, all of these other individuals who are running around and attacking them, and of course they are they're being the Patriot Prayer people and the Proud Boys people are being charged with crimes, whereas Antifa, who has done a lot of illegal things in Portland, Oregon, hasn't faced really any charges. And even though the media that was there has them on camera assaulting innocent people, there's no charges or anything. that is coming from that, which is, I suppose, interesting but not surprising given the past year or so that we have had to deal with these individuals. But again, they're charging them with rioting, for crying out loud. They didn't charge anybody with Black Lives Matter with rioting. There's like one case where they had a charge of inciting a riot. I don't even conviction flew on that. So how is it? There's just such a double standard, folks. It's ridiculous. We are live streaming, so make sure you go to youtube.com/KC the Host. You can go to facebook.com/KC the Host, twitch.tv/KC the Host, and you can go ahead and like, subscribe, follow. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell icon to get notifications for when I upload a new video or I go live. I have my new camera. I tested it this morning on my motorcycle on the way into work, and it worked great. I tested it on the way home, and I believe the moto vlogs will now be rolling out. Okay, so it appears that I found a camera and a workaround for my GoPro issue, and hopefully that will now be a consistent thing on the channel too, because I know a lot of you really wanted the moto vlogs with me riding around on the motorcycle, talking about various things and that sort of stuff. And I did 2 of them before the GoPro external microphone support was changed by GoPro. So now I had to find a different camera that would allow me to have an external microphone. That appears to be resolved, so look for those videos soon as well. Once again, youtube.com/KC the Host. We got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
WTRC-FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your top stories right now. The autopsy is ready. Lisa Brady, Fox News. A week after the death of registered sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in a federal prison, sources say the medical examiner's findings are expected to be released later today. The Washington Post has reported that Epstein had broken bones in his neck.
When you speak to certain medical examiners, they say, well, some of that could be because of a hanging. For sure, you can see those injuries, but some of that could also be seen in homicidal strangulations.
Fox's Brian Yennis. Multiple agencies are investigating Epstein's apparent suicide. He had been taken off suicide watch.
When you speak to the experts, they'll tell you being on suicide watch for more than a week or 2 is pretty rare. But the fact that there was no cellmate and that cellmate was taken out the night before this incident happened, of course you're going to have questions about that.
The actions of the warden and the guards also remain under scrutiny, including reports that guards fell asleep, then falsified logs. Federal investigators are trying to figure out why the plane carrying NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., his wife and young daughter crashed and caught fire yesterday afternoon. Fox's Steve Harrigan is at the crash site in northeast Tennessee.
The charred wreckage of that 6-seater Cessna plane is on Highway 91. It was supposed to come in for a landing at 3:40 yesterday afternoon. It was pretty good weather out. Instead, that plane went through the runway, across a field, through a fence, and basically exploded in flames on a 5-lane road. Officials have been examining the scene since early morning. Their initial conclusion is that the plane suffered from a hard landing.
The family and the pilots are all out of the hospital as the NTSB investigation continues. The week-long roller coaster goes up again on Wall Street. The Dow up 307 points at the closing bell. This is Fox News.
This is Michiana's breaking news.
I'm going to go grab some coffee, everybody. I'll be right back. Starting to fade a little bit already.
Newstalk 95.3 and 95.3 MNC.com.
This Friday afternoon, police responded to the shooting this morning outside the Teachers Credit Union on Ireland Road. Before noon at the branch in 1900 block of Ireland near Ironwood. Police were called to the scene and found a man with a shoulder injury. They do not believe that the shooting was related to the credit union, and it's unclear at this time exactly where that shooting occurred. The victim was not an employee of TCU, and the police say that the incident was the result of a physical confrontation.
I still haven't had the balls to go over and look at that Audi. Came so close to doing it after work yesterday, even though it would have been tight, and then I came close to doing it today in the middle of the day. Just haven't had the balls to do it.
Those levels exceed permitted levels and were found by the company last week.
So know I'm going to want to get it.
The Northwest Indiana Times reports that the company is investigating whether those levels were a contributing factor and what the potential source might have been. The steelmaker says they will continue to work closely with the agencies involved and work to keep the public updated.
That's 95.3 MNC's Heather Starr. Some Indiana beaches along Lake Michigan have been closed as a precaution after that spill was discovered. And finally, an MNC consumer alert, Tyson Foods has issued a recall on their Weaver brand frozen chicken patties due to contamination with foreign materials.
Check your freezer. The Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service says Tyson is recalling more than 39,000 pounds of frozen, fully cooked chicken patty products and 26-ounce resealable bags. They were shipped to retailers nationwide, and many of the bags have already been sold. Anyone who has the chicken patty should throw them away. A consumer complaint led to the recall, and anyone concerned about an injury or illness should contact a healthcare provider. You can find more information on the recall, including a picture of the label, within the story at 953mnc.com.
That's 95.3 MNC's Brooklyn Beatty reporting.
Weather sponsored by
The Prime Table Kid. Cool off from the summer heat. Come in for crisp salads and fresh fruit plates.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' first warning forecasts.
A few isolated showers and thunderstorms this evening into the overnight.
Alrighty.
Muggy tonight. Temperatures staying
Got some
above
thank yous to get out of the way.
Humid this weekend, a high of 82 on Saturday with a chance for more scattered showers.
Chad, thank you for the subscription on YouTube. Appreciate that. Oh, am I getting that weird zombie thing again? I wonder where that comes from.
On Alexa, Google Home, and smart speakers everywhere. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather.
Wish I could find that thing.
Dave Titus with International RV in Elkhart, Indiana. You know, one of the things that we see people that are really concerned with.
All right, so Chad, thank you for the sub on YouTube. Jan, Robert, Bill, Josh, Paul. Thank you for the likes on Facebook. Appreciate that. And then on this Twitch, we got Tracy hanging out over at Twitch. Got Speed over there on Twitch. Oh, Speed Demon's running into the same problem that Alex had. It's not letting him watch ads to get bits now. What's that about? By the way, I'm hoping to be able to actually game this weekend and stream it. That's weird, man. Super, super weird.
Or at internationalrvwholesalers.net.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams.
Lock that low
With our
rate.
exclusive rate shield
The
approval,
low rate
the low
rent
rate you
food?
lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for
Okay,
your new home.
so
With a rate shield approval,
remember yesterday my wife was like, kind of like, well, you do kind of need a new car, right? And then obviously the credit thing came up, like we can't mess with the credit while we're buying a house. And she's like, can we even afford it? I'm like, yeah, technically we can. And so guess what came my way today? School for Harper.
Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the
With a monthly rate that is strikingly similar to what it would cost me to buy the car. Because my will-be 3-year-old next month is begging to go to school every day now. So I went home for lunch because I had to swap out my motorcycle for my car. And she's like, oh, Dada, you go to school now? Can I come with?
Weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Again, I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. If you mention me, you get half off your range time. So if you're looking for something awesome to do this weekend, I know that there is a good chance of some thunderstorms this weekend, and maybe you want to get out of that. You know, you're like, I don't want to sit in the house. I can't go to the pool today. What do I do? Go shoot. Trust me, you're going to feel better afterwards anyway. Plus, you get half off by mentioning me when you go out there. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Okay, 574-25-95-95-3. That's 2595953. Something really interesting happened according to some reports that I was reading earlier today at the Trump rally last night. So this is in Manchester, New Hampshire. And apparently, according to some people who are there, thousands of people were locked outside of the facility, and they allowed empty seats to be shown during the Trump rally. I didn't watch the rally, so I don't know how accurate some of these reports are. I'm passing it on to you, mostly because I'm wondering if any of you watched it. Thousands of Trump supporters were locked out of the arena in Manchester, New Hampshire for Thursday's re-election campaign rally by President Trump, even though there were plenty of empty seats in the upper deck of the arena, and even a dozen empty seats were seen in the lower bowl in the center behind Trump as he spoke to the near-capacity crowd. Now, near-capacity crowd. Except there was, some estimates have it in the 5 digits outside, because they watched it on the Jumbotron. You have to do this at every Trump rally. Those of you who went to the one in Elkhart know this. Every Trump rally has like an where they have these big old Jumbotrons and stuff like that outside, so you can watch it in case you can't get in, because they're always absolutely packed. And so Kayleigh McEnany, she actually tweeted out video of thousands of people watching Donald Trump from outside of the arena, while inside there were empty seats, which naturally led to some conspiracy theories. One of which is, why did they lock these people out of the facility? Could this be a conspiracy to make it look like Trump can't fill a stadium anymore? So when you watch on TV, you go, oh, look at those empty seats out there. Now, you may not know that there's thousands of people outside who could have easily filled those seats. But one of the things that has consistently been a criticism of his opponents, his potential opponents anyway, is that they can't fill any major arenas or facilities. They're almost always, much smaller crowds, that sort of thing. And Trump, when he goes and he speaks to these places, they're massive, absolutely massive. There's always overflow. They've set up this system now where you can watch him on the Jumbotrons and things like that. So that way, if you don't get in, you still didn't go down there in vain. So his facilities at his speeches are always full. They're max capacity plus thousands, okay? But when you watch people like Biden, you watch people like even the Clintons. Remember, they did that little tour thing for a little bit before they canceled it early because nobody was showing up. You've got all of the top tier candidates, including Bernie, who actually tends to motivate his base pretty good, even though he does sit down and chit chat with a rapist and a burglar in Cardi B. So could this be a conspiracy to go ahead and make it look like, at least on TV, that Trump can't fill a stadium anymore, even though he could have easily filled the stadium? I don't know. It's a very good question. Like I said, I wasn't there. I don't have the specifics on all of this. Let's see. Julie Lonchik on Twitter. Many of these people now gathered the outside of the arena had tickets to listen to President Trump inside, but were prevented from doing so due to crowd size. So I suppose potentially, folks, that maybe there was a miscount. They thought that they had let more people in than they really had. I don't know. Ben Simoneau says, interesting. He's showing the empty seats in the upper deck there. He's saying interesting because there are still plenty of seats inside. And at the same time, he's responding to that Julie Lonchik lady saying that, look at all the thousands of people that are outside. So he responded right to her tweet and says, wow, there's empty seats inside. How come they're not letting anybody in? So that's kind of interesting stuff. Is it a conspiracy? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not exactly sure. It sure does seem odd that there were so many empty seats at this arena when, in fact, there were plenty of people that could have easily filled the stadium and packed the stadium. But I don't know. So another person, resist and refuse the left on Twitter. Don't know who this person is. It's just, this is all in an article that is kind of compiling tweets on all of this. Why they actually tagged Trump and they said, why are they turning away thousands of people outside of the SNHU arena right now? Meanwhile, there are literally thousands of empty seats in here. I don't know if I would call it thousands of empty seats, but there's certainly hundreds of empty seats, without a doubt. And people are looking at this and they're going, wait, what is going on? So now they estimate about 12,000 people inside the rally. Okay. There were thousands more outside. I heard some people say potentially that was 5 digits outside waiting. I don't know if that's true. All right. There is a 10-mile long traffic line to get into the arena. 10 miles long. Okay. That is in Manchester, New Hampshire. So I don't have an answer for you. I don't know why they weren't allowing those people into the arena. I suppose it's possible that it was an honest mistake, that they thought that they were at capacity when in fact they were not. Now, at that point, once everybody gets sad, the president starts talking, you run the risk of interrupting the president and letting people in, or do you just quietly let him in and let him know he's speaking, be quiet, get to your seat? Yeah, I don't know exactly what the proper procedure would be for that. But it is crystal clear that when he was talking, there were empty seats in there when there were thousands of people outside that would have filled those seats. So naturally, the tinfoil has been donned, and people are saying, well, this is going to be aired on television, and it was. So naturally, this looks like he can't fill a stadium anymore. And then you get a bunch of people running around and going, see, Trump can't fill a stadium anymore. People are starting to get sick and tired of the guy. And he used to mock the Democratic candidates for not being able to fill a stadium. But look at this. It's how embarrassing for him. He's not going to win New Hampshire. That's for sure. And of course, New Hampshire is always the second election, even though he's going to be the only one on the ticket. It's the second election in the primaries. So very interesting, but I don't have an answer for you. I don't. I had like one person send me a message earlier and he's like, do you know anything about this? I'm like, actually, I was just looking at that, but I don't know why. So that's very good. And I don't have access to Twitter. Well, I do through my other accounts, but I'm not logged in on them right now. So I don't know if the president has addressed it either. There's been no updates to this story. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Remember those volunteers who were going to Baltimore to clean it up again? Turns out they ended up saving the lives of 2 people while they were there. We'll talk about that coming up on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Michiana's news channel is everywhere.
Thank you, Tracy and Bobby, for the likes on Facebook.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in
Okay.
years of exceptional
What do we got here?
tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, Home Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Weekend humidity surges, 82 on Saturday, mostly cloudy with a chance of scattered showers. Sunday could be a higher
Moving on.
Yeah, unless they have an update.
Michiana's news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
Weather text alerts are new and improved, customized, and faster than ever. To stay connected, text weather to 45364. Do it right now.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and pass that on to him then, man.
Very moment the alert is issued, minutes matter. And that's why we made our weather text alert service better than ever. Again, text weather to 45364 right now. Message and data rates apply. Complete privacy policy and terms and conditions available at 95.3 MNC.
All right. Yep, no problem.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger.
So apparently, that stadium has a capacity for center stage stuff is 11,770. And during Trump's rally, he broke Elton John's record that he had set at that.
Okay, so
apparently,
so even though there were seats there, maybe it would have been a fire marshal issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they said it was about 12,000 people that were inside the building. It's still a good question. It's like, well, why are there thousands of people outside and yet they're not?
Mm-hmm.
On Douglas Road in Mishawaka at 277-2220 or visit afnet.com.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand opening ceremony, it's the staff that's in the photo. Behind the scenes of any office or industrial
10 miles
numerous
long
contractors tirelessly taking
for the traffic line.
board to reality with precision, schedule, and on
10 miles long.
to the final phase.
I think my texting service is cracked out on us there.
How to get the job done.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for the like on the Facebook.
Dan can step in at any time to assess your project with a level of
Tracy's still not tired of winning.
work out the window. We believe in positive results through positive people, and we're positive that we can help you.
Did I see my personalized Audi meme, Speed asked me? No, I haven't seen it yet. I've got to log in. I have been so swamped for the past 3 days.
That's 574.
It has... it's been taking a toll. I was a little tired at the end of last week. I am pooped today. I am absolutely pooped.
Find Final Things Electric on Facebook or visit finalthingselectric.net.
Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
And a poop it.
The benefits of American Standard.
Oh yeah, that's right. Gotta talk about the Don Lemon.
If there's any kind of a fault or anything,
Gotta talk about the teacher.
step right up and stand behind us and
I did Greenland. Did I put Greenland in my... No, yeah, did that. Okay. Put it in my show prep. What did I talk about after Greenland? Proud Boys, that's what. Right, Proud Boys. All right, here you
You have
go.
a Z-bar read. Sorry.
Damn right I have a Z-Bart read. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95, 95.3. That is 2595-953. All right, we're not quite there yet. All right, we're not quite at winter. And I'm not trying to rush you or anything, but you probably need to get your vehicle winterized. So you can go to Z-Bar of South Bend to do that. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A lot of people don't get their vehicle, the undercarriage, rust treated and everything else because there's a lot of articles that have been written over the past several years that all cars, brand new, come with the rust prevention on there. But that doesn't last forever. So a lot of people are like, well, you don't need to get it now because it comes that way now. First of all, some manufacturers are less adept at applying the rust prevention. I can tell you firsthand because my last SUV cracked in half. Others don't bother telling you that it doesn't last forever. It wears off. And so if you go to Z-Bar to South Bend, what they can do is they can put that rust prevention on there so they can treat your undercarriage, right? And then when you go back the next year, it's basically a tune-up. It's not the full process over again. So it's even cheaper the next year. And this is going to obviously protect your vehicle from all of that sludge and everything on the road. Like I said, I know it's not winter yet. I'm just preparing you, okay? Just getting you to start thinking about making sure that your vehicle is going to be taken care of over those winter months. Because as somebody who owned a vehicle that cracked in half, I can tell you right now, it cost us a whole lot of money, mainly because the vehicle became useless and I had to go buy another car. So that was always, that's always fun when you have to do that when you're expecting not to have a car payment anymore. So again, go to Z-Bar to South Bend, get it rust-proofed. If you get it done this year, next year when you get it done, it's just a touch-up, okay? Much quicker, much cheaper to go ahead and get it taken care of. You can still get your window tinting. Window tinting is extremely important even in the colder months. And of course, if you got a truck, make sure you get the rhino lining done on your truck bed, all of your truck accessories, all of that, and the ceramic Z-Gloss paint coating. Get that taken care of now. Go to Z-Bar to South Bend. Of course, let them know that I sent you. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. I may have been wrong about my assessment of the Don Lemon sexual harassment / assault situation. Oh, by the way, I do want to thank a listener who called in and said that Donald Trump apparently broke the record for that particular facility for attendance, and it may have been a fire marshal thing for the seats in the upper decks and things like that to have been vacant. So I appreciate the updates. Thank you. There is okay, officially, I like the way that this is actually phrased on twitchy.com. Sexual assault charges against Don Lemon now are more substantiated than any brought against Justice Kavanaugh. Now, there wasn't any actual corroboration of anything that came out about Justice Kavanaugh, but everybody on the left believed the accusations against Kavanaugh because they didn't want him to sit on the Supreme Court because he was considered a conservative justice. So now, although a lot of conservatives were not necessarily sure of that, but the left certainly hated his guts because he wasn't a flaming liberal. Well, a man says that he witnessed the CNN host Don Lemon's alleged sexual assault. Wait a minute. How many witnesses did Blasey Ford have against Justice Kavanaugh? 0. So she didn't even remember doing she didn't even remember a lot of the details from when the alleged assaults happened. She gave witnesses. All of her witnesses actually corroborated Kavanaugh's version of events. They didn't support her case at all. And here we have a witness who has come forward and says that they saw Don Lemon's alleged assault. Okay. The former boss of a bartender who earlier this week filed an explosive lawsuit against CNN host Don Lemon, accusing the newsman of a strange sexually charged assault, told Fox News that he witnessed the incident and corroborated his one-time employer's claim. What? Oh, okay. Epstein's death has officially been ruled a suicide by the autopsy. Okay, we'll get to that here in a little bit. Knew that was coming, but remember, the guy that's filed the lawsuit against Don Lemon, he is the bartender. And he says that Don Lemon put his hands down his pants and then rubbed his fingers in this guy's face, is kind of what he did. In an exclusive interview, George Goneilis, who managed Dustin Heiss at the Old Stove Pub in July of 2018, detailed what allegedly occurred on the night of the bizarre encounter at Murph's Backstreet Tavern, which is located in the prestigious Hamptons area of East New York City. He claimed he is named in the suit filed by Heiss. Now, again, Don Lemon is continuing to deny the accusations against him. But now you officially have more evidence against Don Lemon than we ever had against Kavanaugh. And Don Lemon pushed the Kavanaugh conspiracy on his show. Interesting stuff. Dustin worked for me as a bartender, and we went out after work one night. We were standing there, and he said, "Hey, that's Don Lemon. Murph's is a place that you go to drink after you've been out drinking." I guess that's the unwind place, okay? We had just gotten off of work, so that's why we ended up there, because we worked in the restaurant business. So by the time everything is done, we can only hit a late-night spot. Heiss approached Lemon to strike up a conversation, but the newsman declined, according to Goneilis, who said that he and Heiss then offered to buy Lemon a drink, which the CNN host also declined. Goneilis then said a few moments later, Lemon came up to them. Don Lemon has now come around the corner and is standing face to face with us. There is a pole in the place. Don standing up against the pole, face to face with Dustin. I turn around and I'm standing right there between the two of them. He's saying, "So you like me? Is that why you're bothering me?" Heiss responded, "Nah, man, I just wanted to say what's up." Okay, so they're painting an impression of they're out, they're in the restaurant business, they finished late, so you can only go to this Murph's place because it's open late, and it's one of the latest opened establishments in the area. So they go there to, grab a drink after work. Happen to notice that Don Lemon is in there. They go up to try and say hi, which anytime you run into somebody who is of note, whether they're celebrity, news person, what have you. People do that. They do it to me all the time. And they come up and they tried to say hi. Don Lemon kind of brushes them off and they said, well, maybe we'll just try and buy him a drink and let him know that, we're not, just trying to harass him. Don Lemon declines the drink. And then a little while later, Don Lemon comes up to them and thinks apparently that they were hitting on him and were trying to lay him down in their bed. So Don Lemon comes up to them and says, so you like me? Is that why you're bothering me? And Heiss says, nah, man, I just wanted to say what's up. Ganilis told Fox News that he couldn't recall what Lemon said verbatim, but it was along the lines of, do you like me? Is that why you're bothering me? Because you want to, shall we say, engage in relations with me. But Don Lemon apparently used a much more vulgar word. Ganilis said that Lemon appeared pretty drunk when he confronted the duo at the wee hours watering hole. He put his hands down his pants inside his board shorts, grabbed his privates, and then came out with two fingers and clipped Dustin's nose up and down with two fingers saying, do you like female or male anatomy? Got to clean up the language from the alleged language of Don Lemon. Ganilis said that he laughed during the alleged incident and immediately mocked Heiss as gross because of Lemon's alleged actions, but Heiss didn't think it was a laughing matter. Dustin was in shock mode, saying, bro, did that just happen? That was disgusting. Ganilis said before explaining that he didn't think it was too unusual at the time. The whole thing is like, I go out in the Hamptons, I live out here, I have a restaurant. I get it, people get crazy. To me, it's just another thing. To Dustin, he was shocked. Okay, so this is now the former boss of Don Lemon's alleged victim saying the same thing as the alleged victim. Now, again, he's named in the suit, so you assume that he's been aware of all of this, but he says the same thing as the alleged victim. And when he says, when this happened with Don Lemon, he's like, it's the Hamptons, it's late at night, people are drunk, and people do stupid things, and that's how I took it. But Dustin took it much differently. Let's see. Ganilis said that he isn't sure if Lemon, who is openly gay, was being confrontational or simply flirting. I guess it's a little of both. If somebody had done that to me, I probably would have punched him. But I think it might have been flirting. I think Dustin was more in shock. If someone was flirting with me like that, I'd say, all right, man, I'm not gay. I wouldn't go up to a girl like that. It wouldn't be his way of flirting. And for the record, okay, if Don Lemon was flirting, this is still sexual assault based on the narrative. If you doubt me, then go ahead and walk up to a woman at any social event or public event, and then go ahead and do what Don Lemon did by grabbing yourself and then smearing it in their face and see how that goes down for you. You're going to be arrested so fast and hit with so many lawsuits, it's ridiculous. So you've got two guys now. You've got a witness who is corroborating the claim against Don Lemon. Now, if that ends up holding up and it ends up being true, then, well, you have to wonder, ladies and gentlemen, if there might be something to this story. Now, obviously, Don Lemon was, if this happened, was drunk. But there's also now, I guess, a rumor that Don Lemon offered to settle for 6 figures, which is interesting. Lemon offered a 6-figure settlement before talks broke down and Heiss filed the formal complaint, according to a source close to Heiss's attorney. So why is Don Lemon offering 6 figures? Now, celebrities will do that. Okay, they'll offer money for these things to go away. But he did offer 6 figures to this guy. So this guy lets him know, like, hey, remember me when you did this to me? And they're in talks. The talks break down. Don Lemon offered him a 6-figure settlement, and the guy turned it down. Next thing you know, boom, we've got a lawsuit and a witness that corroborates what allegedly happened that paints Don Lemon as a sexual assaulter. Again, far more evidence than we ever had against Kavanaugh. So all of you liberals on social media and out there in my audience, you are, by your own laws and your own rules, required to believe this victim. Hashtag him too. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Thank you, Melissa, Jeffrey, Bobby.
city clerk, at least for the next few months. Dawn Jones was elected yesterday via a special caucus to the position after Karina Fowler stepped
Said
down back
caucus.
in July to take a job with the South Bend schools. There were a total of 8 candidates up for the position. Technically, though, Jones only has the job until the end of the year because Fowler was already on the ballot uncontested for the next election, and that's too late to change, so they will hold another special caucus in January when the new term begins. And a South Bend man faces a list of charges after being stopped in Elkhart County yesterday.
A 32-year-old Daniel Kovach's charges include possession of heroin, possession of cocaine, 2 counts of possession of a legend drug, 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of MDA, daily narcotics, operating while intoxicated on a controlled substance, and OWI endangerment. Police started tailing him on the
Man, I thought this was America. You can't possess MDA anymore.
No.
That's a bull. That's some bull.
Michiana's news channel, would you like to talk to Casey? Can I ask what you're calling about, please?
That's funny.
Can I ask what you're calling about, please?
I was listening to The Last Dance of Mary Jane.
Well, you are very welcome. And I'll go ahead and pass that on to Casey and everyone. Yep, no problem. Yep. A man says, Frankie, caller, says thank you for giving him the opportunity to win this pitbull tickets.
Did you win them?
Yes. Michiana's news channel, would you like to talk to Casey? Can I ask what you're calling about, please? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, what? Well, that's not currently our topic right now, but you can call us at 5 o'clock during open lines. We can talk to you about it then. No, just at 5 o'clock. Yep. Thank you.
Fox and Friends has a news person that took a doctor into L.A., saw trash, tents, rats, and Hollywood in the picture frame. This is not going to go over well. Well, the L.A. thing has actually been going for a couple of months now. The L.A. thing predates the Baltimore thing. They've been talking about the homeless and rodent issues in L.A. for some time now. LA also has a problem with fecal matter on the ground, although San Francisco got most of the attention because of the government programs that San Francisco were doing to try and fix it. But LA has the same problem. And apparently Chicago does too. I enjoy your program most days, but since you mentioned winter, today I hate you.
That's fair.
Okay, I had the same reaction yesterday. I went into Walmart yesterday. They are not selling any short sleeve shirts. And I'm like, it's still August. Like, what the hell? And there's like no short sleeve shirts anywhere in there. They had like maybe 3 styles that were short sleeve. Everything else was long sleeve. They got jackets all over the place. And I'm like, it's still a little early. But I'm with you. I get it. Stimulus. Justice Casey, what are we doing and what is the point of the stream? We're not doing anything. We're just sitting here
and we're
staring at each other. Go to Rural King for shirts. Okay, John, I dig Rural King. This is not where I buy my clothes. If I need boots, I'll go to Rural King. I'm not going to go and get my clothes at Rural King. But thank you for the tip. I appreciate it.
It's a good thing Matt secured his venture with Super Poly Grip. Now he can enjoy the snacks as much as the game.
It's Tracy trying to get me to play PUBG again. I don't have PUBG on PlayStation, and I would have to download it for my PC. I had PUBG downloaded for my mobile. That's what I was playing on for the first couple of times, but I don't know. I enjoy watching it. I didn't enjoy playing it all that much.
It is an easy way to be more giving. Give blood at the South Bend Medical Foundation. Whether you're a new donor or a donor who decides to donate more often.
What will I play this weekend? I don't know. Maybe Fallout and Call of Duty.
It's our way of saying thanks.
We shall see. Depends. I haven't played Fallout in a while. So I actually built like a pretty nice house, which I never do. Like I don't do any of the building in Fallout. None of the Fallout games. I don't really focus on that. But I decided that I was actually going to make a relatively decent pad. So I made a house the last time I played, and then I haven't played since then. So what I have to do is get back on the primary storyline is what I have to do, because I got away from the storyline. I'm on a bunch of side quests.
Local versatile dealer, Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment in Wakarusa has the new versatile front wheel assist tractor in stock. The versatile front wheel assist has a new style for better visibility and maximum in-field performance. Available with 260.
You're playing music.
I'm playing music. That's me?
Oh.
That's because they kicked on an ad for me. Let's see. You, Dean, how can you buy your underwear at Kmart? There are no Kmarts here, are there? Is there a Kmart still open here somewhere? I thought they all closed. Or are you still wearing the underwear you bought from Kmart 20 years ago, Dean? That might be it. Happy says most hosts don't give listeners the time of day, aside from taking the phone call. Here we all get a say. That's true. That is true. All right, here we go. I've heard great things about Duluth Trading, and I have been promised Duluth Trading a couple of times, but nobody's actually come through. Just going to throw some people under the bus. All right, here we go. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You are 20 minutes away from open line. So if you would like to call about any topic that you want, that all starts at 5 o'clock. Joe's taken several calls today if people wanted to bring up some things from earlier in the week or earlier in the show. And if you just missed when we were talking about that during the more constrained segments of the program, you can do anything you want at 5 o'clock, okay? We do this every single week. It's the final hour free-for-all. It's the last hour that I'm with you for the week, and we just go ahead and open it up and let you guys talk about anything you want. Was it yesterday or the day before that we had a bunch of people calling about something throughout the show that I didn't do later on after the 3 o'clock hour? Do you remember which one? I don't even remember what it was about. I'd have to go back and look at the daily show prep. We had a bunch of people calling. And so really, honestly, in about 18 minutes, that's your opportunity to call. And don't wait, okay? When we go to the news break, call, get on hold, and wait, because a couple of things happen. I end up getting emails and messages from people throughout next week saying, I can never get a hold of you. How come you don't take phone calls? That sort of thing. And, you know, you have opportunities to call. You just have to call at the right time. But on Friday, there's no excuse because I just opened the entire hour up to you. So there is no excuse for the whole, I'm not going to call in time, you know, that sort of thing before he moves on to a different topic. So if you want to get on the air and not risk being in line and having that busy signal for a whole hour, you've got to call the moment I cut out to that news break at the end of this hour, okay? Anyway, 574-2595-95.3. Want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle, Indiana. 10 dedicated shooting lanes, rifle and pistol. And if you mention me, you get half off your range time. You also get 10% off in the store, which includes your ammo, your targets, your accessories, your knives. Yes, they have my knives out there. And you can also get listener exclusive discounts on firearms. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more info. I wanted to believe it, but I didn't believe that this Bill Clinton painting in Jeffrey Epstein's home was real. It's apparently real. All right. Bill Clinton painting in Jeffrey Epstein's home was a, quote, surprise to the woman who painted the president wearing the blue dress. So a woman painted the painting of Bill Clinton. He's sitting in a chair sideways in a blue dress, obviously a throwback to Monica, and red high heels, and he is pointing at you. Epstein was a freak, dude. An absolute freak. By the way, his death is officially been ruled a suicide. We'll get to that in just a second. But apparently the woman who painted it, which was, I guess the painting is titled Parsing Bill, is by Manhattan-based artist Patrina Ryan Clyde. And she was surprised that Epstein even had it. So she painted the thing, sold it, I guess, and Jeffrey Epstein had it hanging up in his house. That is an odd painting to have hanging up in your house. I'm more of an H.R. Geiger guy myself, but to each his own, I guess. If you're a pedophile who runs around the world with Bill Clinton, doing pedophile things, I suppose you'd have a nice complimentary portrait of him hanging up in your house. So here's the official autopsy report. The autopsy report shows that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, according to the officials here just, I don't know, was it 10 minutes ago, maybe? 66-year-old wealthy pedophile died by hanging himself in his cell in the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan last week. That is according to the medical examiner's office. The multimillionaire convict was being held on federal sex trafficking raps at the time. This is in the New York Post. The autopsy and other evidence confirmed that Epstein committed suicide, according to the medical examiner's office. Officials said earlier this week that the autopsy had been completed, but that the medical examiner needed further information before determining Epstein's official cause of death. Now, part of that could have been the neck break, okay? And I saw this all over again today. The neck break thing is becoming a conspiracy in and of itself. You can't take something and erase the rest of it that goes with it and then just focus on the one thing that you want to be true. It's confirmation bias. You can't do that. So the type of break with the bone, with the hyoid bone or whatever it is in the neck, that break is more consistent with murder and strangulation. However, particularly in older people, which Epstein qualifies as, it does happen in hangings. So when you hang yourself, and again, to hang yourself, you don't need to do the old, gallows and all that stuff. You don't need to do that to hang yourself. Like I said, Robin Williams hung himself with a belt, a chair, and a doorknob. Okay, you can hang yourself without having to drop down from the roof or anything like that. So we don't know exactly how he hung himself, and I would love to see pictures of the inside of the cell, maybe a dramatization of how he did it, just for my own curiosity's sake, that I can see how this went down. So my job at this point is to kind of tell you what is medically possible and what isn't. There's still questions about his death. Like I told you before, I tend to lean towards he actually killed himself. However, I wouldn't be surprised if he was murdered, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was still alive. But I tend to believe that he killed himself. But there's so many theories out there right now. So the bone that broke is more common in murders and strangulation. However, it can happen in a hanging. And then I saw a bunch of stories today, like more proof that Epstein was murdered. Like this is like headlines, more proof that Epstein was murdered. Some medical examiner or professional or whatever says that this bone breaks in less than 1% of all hangings. So it breaks in hangings. That's all I heard. It's rare, but it does happen. Okay. Now, if somebody comes out and tells me this bone never breaks in a hanging like what Epstein did, that's never happened before, this would be the first case of that, you've got my attention. But if something is rare but still does happen, then it is possible. And the official story is still the official story. I get it. I understand why people have questions about this. There's certainly a lot of weird stuff involved in this. And when you have such an astronomical number of so-called mistakes or incompetence that are just lined up with, of course, this massive case involving Jeffrey Epstein and all of these huge prominent individuals that he could have taken down with him, which, by the way, there's still avenues for them to be taken down. I get I shouldn't say I get understand. I understand why you would be skeptical of the original story. Okay, I get that. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. If he shows up in 9 months and he's still alive and he's a witness in a federal case, I would not be shocked at all. But I think he's dead and I think he killed himself. That's just where I tend to lean. So people are taking this whole, it happens in like less than 1% of hangings to go, see, that's proof that he didn't do it. No, it happens in 1% of hangings. And so Epstein hung himself, and it's certainly possible, especially given his age, that particular bone would break. It's also possible that depending on how he hung himself, that he would have mimicked a strangulation anyway and broke that bone. So it all just kind of depends on how this all goes down. So the official story is it's been ruled a suicide. And while I don't have an issue with any of you running around and asking the questions and, maybe posing the conspiracy questions and things like that, I don't have an issue with it. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised with either of the three potential outcomes for this. You have to keep in mind that at least it is certainly very possible that the story is true. He hung himself because of the case. He hung himself right after the information came out. And a lot of people felt that, well, when the information came out, then somebody wanted him silenced. But he could have thought to himself, oh, man, they took down these two prominent Democrats. They're in my files. They've got everything. I've got no reason to go on. I'm not going to win this. So it's entirely possible that it went the other way, too. But the official word now, again, like 20 minutes ago, it is a suicide by hanging. And if that changes or Epstein magically shows up with Tupac somewhere doing a duet, we will certainly talk about it. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
They're going with Dr. Cyril Vicht, a forensic pathologist on Fox News right now. I don't know what he's saying, but he might be doing the whole, this is rare to happen, but it does happen thing. I don't know.
A steamy and stormy weekend. Humidity surges 82.
Happy, shame on you.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms. Sunday could be a higher chance of rain, high of 86 with scattered showers and storms. Monday.
You have to see the Bill Clinton picture. You know what? I'm going to make it my featured image on the Daily Show Prep today. Like, this picture is extra special. It really is. It is creepy.
Sunshine returns with a high of 80. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coon.
Station to turn to when the weather turns bad.
When severe weather strikes in Michiana, focus on protecting yourself and your family. The Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma says each year an average of 1,200 tornadoes touch down, causing 1,500 injuries and dozens of deaths. Your best defense is staying.
What was the, I'm too lazy to look it up. What was the theory on how many tornadoes we're going to get this year again? 15,000 or something?
I don't know, you saved it somewhere.
Casey, that would be one POC.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location. I am not a realtor or associated with any realtor.
Yeah, Roland, I've heard of people doing that too, man. Like I said, Robin Williams could have saved himself at any time, and he chose not to. It's just, it's awful when somebody gets to that point.
I even buy my tenant will pay me the rent houses. If you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs, great, because I love buying damaged houses too. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
Hi, I'm Betty, a.k.a. Allie's mom.
Last year I told you that we love to replicate your family recipes for catering events and private parties. And boy, did you ever take me up on that challenge. Michiana
What is the mac and cheese that they make?
A variety of dishes that we had a chance to make for your special event. Here are just a few examples. We got to replicate Grandma's hand loaf. We mixed up some jambalaya for a Mardi Gras fundraiser. We made cilantro, rice, and beans for a quinceañera, and pulled together an authentic Irish-themed wedding, complete with bangers and mash and Guinness mac and cheese, my favorite.
What mac and cheese? Benny? What?
I think she said. I think she said famous mac and cheese.
It's not famous mac and cheese. It's something. Damn it. Venison mac and cheese? Was that one?
Allie's has partnered up with local venues to ensure that your day is special and perfect.
The real thing is that if you did the Irish wedding, so Irish. Okay, what do they call the blood sausage? Is it just blood sausage over there? No, that's blood sausage. What's the black pudding? Yeah, it's black pudding. I loved the black pudding.
You have an Indian read, by the way.
You're damn right I do, Joe. Do you know who I am?
An asshole, apparently.
Yeah, I'm an asshole. All right, here we go. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Hold on. Where did my stuff go? Everybody moves my stuff around when I'm not in the studio. I'm the longest tenured employee here for this radio station other than John, who is the program director. And everybody messes with my crap, and I don't touch anybody else's stuff. I leave everybody's stuff alone. All right, my apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you about Elkhart Indian Motorcycle because exciting news. Today's the launch day. All right, today is the day that you can get into the Abate motorcycle class with me and earn your motorcycle endorsement, learn how to ride a motorcycle safely. This is a special class that they had to create just for my listeners. Nobody else can get into this class, okay? This is important. Nobody can go to a website and buy the spots out from under you. Nobody can go ahead and, grease some fingers and get in this thing. We only have the 12 spots, and some are already gone. So, and it officially launched today, okay? Technically, I mentioned it 2 days ago, but it officially launched today. So there was only 12 spots, all right? And some of them are gone. So you have to act now. It's $99. That's it. So you're going to learn how to safely ride a motorcycle, get the mental and physical skills to do so. When you complete the course, after you pass your final, when you complete the course, you are going to be able to take that piece of paper into the Indiana BMV and get your motorcycle endorsement, which means you can legally ride a motorcycle in the state of Indiana, okay? Which obviously you'll be able to take to other states too. But this is for Indiana residents and licensed drivers only. We're not doing the Michigan song and dance like we did last year. So Elkhart Indian Motorcycle put this together special for you. Here's how you get involved. So if you want one of these slots, okay, you have to text the word ABATE right now to 45364. That's ABATE. ABATE right now to 45364. When you do that, you will then be able to follow the prompts because it's going to send you some text messages back. You follow those prompts and you register for the class. You can also just directly go to 953mnc.com. Look in the featured stories. We have the story there. I did share it on Facebook earlier, facebook.com/Casey the host. So I'm giving you a ton of ways for you to register for the ABATE class. It's $99. Now, here's the thing. Casey, I don't need to take your class. I'll just go ahead and register with ABATE anyway. One, you could pay more because of supply and demand. Two, they're full. So if you want to get on a motorcycle this year, this is it, okay? This is pretty much your best opportunity to do that. Now, sometimes spots open up and things like that with some of these other courses, but why risk it, okay? $99. I will be there. I basically force them to let me ride with you. That's how much I love you guys, all right? A lot of you, I realize, are doing this because you love motorcycles, but also a lot of you, I realize there's a component that you want to meet me and hang out with me. So originally what they were thinking is I would be there for a meet and greet on Friday night. And then for the next 2 days, you would be riding motorcycles and I wouldn't be there. I wanted to be there. Okay. And no, I don't need to take the course again because obviously I passed the course and I have my motorcycle endorsement and I have my Elkhart Indian motorcycle now, my Scout. But I wanted to be there with you. So we're going to ride together for 2 days. Friday, we'll be in the classroom together. Friday evening, and it's going to be an absolute blast. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to miss this. Text the word ABATE right now to 45364. That's ABATE, ABATE to 45364, or go to 953mnc.com and register for the ABATE class. This is happening Labor Day weekend, okay? So the end of August. You got 2 weeks basically to do this thing. And said some of the spots are already gone. Okay, so you have got to register now if you want to do this. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And then while you're at it, you know what? Go to Elkhart Indian Motorcycle and pick out your motorcycle because you know you're going to get one. So just do it. Whether it's a used motorcycle, whether it's one of the new Royal Enfield motorcycles out there, good entry-level motorcycles, by the way, or if you're going to get yourself an Indian, go out to Elkhart Indian Motorcycle or go to their website, elkhartindianmotorcycle.com. Check out their new and used inventory. And when you go out there, make sure you let them know that I sent you. But if you want to register for this class, again, text the word ABATE right now to 45364. Open lines are next. Call right now if you want to be on the show. Otherwise, you risk being put on hold.
WTRC FM and HD1. Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Okay, I got to warm up on my coffee. I will be right back.
Michiana's News Channel, would you like to talk to Casey? Alrighty, Ted. Alright, I'll try to get you on there.
It's unclear at this time exactly where that shooting occurred. The victim was not an employee of TCU. It was the result of a physical confrontation that resulted in shots fired. The possible suspect is in custody. Arcelor Middle is looking into
Michiana's news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey? Alrighty, we'll try to get you on there.
Oh. Man, I am shocked that that is the first caller. Shocked and stunned.
Yeah.
Tracy, you can always call in. Why would you not call in? Just because you're on the stream doesn't mean you can't call in. People are running down the list.
Check your freezer. The Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service.
No, so this is the day before I go on vacation. So it's that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I'm officially on vacation that Monday. So when I get done with the class, then we go on vacation the next day. You're shy? You're not shy. You've talked to me many times.
She doesn't want everyone else to know.
She's called before.
More information on the recall, including a picture of the label, within the story at 953mnc.com.
That's 953mnc's Brooklyn Baby reporting.
Weather sponsored by.
I mean, you don't have to. No pressure. You don't want to call. You don't have to call. I'm just saying that you can. You asked. I want everybody to understand it was only a few days the last time we had the abate class. It sold out that fast. So there's not that many spots. Like I said, some of the spots are already gone. So if you are interested in doing abate, you need to do it. It's only $99. That is not much. They give you the helmet, they give you the motorcycle. If you have a helmet, you can bring that. You know, really, other than that, you've got to make sure that you're wearing the proper pants. They do the boot thing there, and they're pretty strict about the boot thing, which I hate because I hate riding with boots. And then gloves if you have them, but you can get those super cheap, like at 5 and Below. You can get some gloves that'll work. You know, long sleeves, that sort of stuff. Basic protective clothing. I thought you had. I swear you've talked on air. You haven't talked on air before? I thought you did. My mistake. Well, there you go. Maybe when we met in person, it was so impactful that I just assumed that you had called.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average
what was the
household
thing
in
that
the US
I?
carries
Oh
over
yeah, the lawn
$1,000
thing.
in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put
that's the
some
chills
of the
again.
equity in your home to good use by paying
You
off
know
a
what?
lot
I
of
keep
that
meaning to go over that
high-interest credit
story.
card debt. A great way to take cash
I am
out
way
is with our
behind.
30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate
Way,
mortgage is
way
4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICK to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power
There
has
we
ranked
go.
Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com. For J.D. Power award information,
I'm going to take Michael first, just so you know.
8.88% discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50
Don't want you to get
states.
super shocked.
I'd be shocked.
US 31 south of Plymouth is a. Oh, excuse me. US 31 south to Plymouth, south of Kern, is a parking lot.
Awesome.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at youtube.com/Casey the host. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on that bell icon to get notified when we go live or upload new videos. I did get my new camera. I've been working with it the past couple of days, and it seems to be working, so expect some moto vlogs to show up on the website again at youtube.com/Casey the host. I should say my channel rather than the website. Then you can also watch the live stream on Facebook if you prefer it, facebook.com/Casey the host, and twitch.tv/Casey the host. Entirely up to you which platform you have. Oh, the final poll results yesterday on whether I was out of line by telling the brother of a criminal who was killed by a police officer who didn't want cops to carry their guns at these community meetings because it was insensitive and intimidating. My calling them a pathetic snowflake. 97% of you said that I was not out of line. 97%. Most lopsided poll I have ever done. Listener says that US 31 south to Plymouth, south of Kern, is a parking lot. So avoid if you can. Again, that is US 31 south to Plymouth, south of Kern is a parking lot. It is open lines. You can call about anything that you want. 574-25-95-95-3. That is 2595-953. If you would like to talk about me in my comments about the brother of Eric Logan and the author of the article about that whole thing yesterday, if you want to talk about that, that's what everybody was calling about all day yesterday, by the way. I remembered. If you want to go and weigh in on that, feel free to do so now. It is open lines from now until the end of the show. I don't pick the topics. You do. Okay? Once again, 574-25-95-95-3. Michael, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
You're familiar with the Article 5 of the Constitution that calls for amendments?
Yeah, amending the Constitution, yeah.
Are you familiar with the second clause?
Well, not verbatim.
It's it basically what it does is it's a method that the states can use to force Congress to call a convention.
Yeah, you're talking about the Convention of the States.
Where amendments can be proposed.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like nobody knows anything about it or how it works.
Including the people pushing it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm pushing it.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. It's just that I've had a lot of people, as I've discussed, I've been talking about this since Las Vegas. A lot of the people who push it, and it's okay if you support it, by the way. It's just that they will say that it's impossible for something to happen when, in fact, it's not impossible for something to happen.
Right, and actually, the requirements for it to actually happen have already been achieved. It's just that Congress is ignoring it.
I didn't think that they had reached the threshold yet. Have they reached the threshold?
Every state has put in hundreds of requests for a constitution or a constitutional convention.
Okay, yeah, but putting in a request is not.
They may have tied it to a specific cause, but they still called for a convention.
Yeah, but it's got to be passed. So I have to look at the numbers. So like just introducing legislation or calling for it is not good enough. You've got to have the legislature pass it, the state legislature.
Can I give you a website?
I'm familiar with them. I know all of them, but I just haven't looked in on it in a while to see what the status is of some of those proposed bills. So
okay, because Friends of the Article 5 Convention is got quite a bit of information on the subject, and if I could give that website, it'd probably help you out.
Now, do you believe that this is the wisest course of action, and are you willing to risk the U.S. Constitution in order to do it? Have we gotten to that point? Because you will be risking the Constitution, and anybody who tells you you won't be is not accurate. You will be risking it.
It still has to go through the same amendment process, which is three-quarters of the state.
Sure, but they can alter it. Yeah, they can alter it any way that they want. Are you willing to take that risk?
They cannot alter an amendment that's been proposed to the states. This just doesn't happen.
No, I'm not talking about that amendment. I'm just saying, are you willing to risk a fundamental changing of the U.S. Constitution, which absolutely can happen?
So what are we risking now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are you at that point where you're saying, you know what, we've got to do something, and I'm willing to take that risk? Are you at that point?
I think it should be thrown open.
Okay.
I think yes. Yes.
Oh, and that's fair. You know, I'm not there yet, but I understand why people like you are. Now,
it doesn't have to be a specific amendment already written that's going to the states. I mean, the states are going to.
Well, no, you won't be able to set the rules until the convention is actually called in. So
right, exactly.
Once the convention
Congress has to say, okay, the states can do this now.
Correct.
And they won't do it. They're ignoring their job, basically.
Well, and I have to look in to see if they've actually met the threshold to get it. You said that they have. I'll look and I'll double check that. But now here's the thing that I have to remind people about, because I know that my friend Mark Levin, he's pushed this, and I know a couple of others have pushed this as well. If you go back 15 years, less than 15 years actually, because I've talked about this since I started. It was liberals who were pushing a convention of states. So, you know, they wanted to change the Constitution. They wanted to do the convention of states. Now it's kind of swung back to the political right. Conservatives want to do it. And the only thing that I want people to understand is the liberals have wanted this for a very long time, and they will send their A game. I mean, they are going to send their best people to go to this convention. They're going to elect them as delegates or nominate them as delegates, you know, with the process, and they're going to send their best people. Now, I'm not trusting of state legislatures like a lot of people are.
But let me explain exactly what you said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not, you know, sending their best people to pass amendments, to ratify amendments. They're sending them to propose amendments.
Mm-hmm.
They still have to, after they're done proposing those amendments.
Yeah, it's got to be voted on. You're right.
It's for nothing but proposing amendments.
You're right. But the state legislatures are the ones that kind of have the big power here with getting delegates there. And the trust in the
also have to ratify.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, you're totally right. But my concern is I don't trust state legislatures. Like, for instance, you know, Indiana is a Republican state, but their legislature, let's face it, they're moderates to moderate left, maybe slightly right. They're not exactly conservatives. And Indiana is not alone in that. So my fear is that you're going to get a lot of these state legislatures who do it. You're going to get some conservative champions. There's no doubt about that. You're going to get some liberal lions, no doubt about that. You're going to get a lot of moderates in the middle. And I think that's where the danger is. Now, if you believe, if your position, and I totally understand this, if your position is, look, we're descending right now, we have to do something. That's fine. At least you're being consistent, and I can appreciate that, and even to an extent support it. My big fear is that a lot of people who have been talking about the Convention of States for many years don't believe it is possible for the Constitution to be fundamentally changed and altered to where the United States pretty much shifts the way that it governs. And it absolutely can. If you read Article 5, you go through the rules of how this happens, the country can be completely altered and changed. And if you're willing to risk that, that's cool. That's fine. But let's not pretend that isn't the possibility.
Well, no, I'm not. No, the whole principle, I mean, the whole purpose of an Article 5 convention is to propose amendments.
Sure. Yeah, so I get it. I'm just
to think that it's not going to happen after the convention is over. Certainly, there's going to be some proposals put out there, you know, a product of this convention. But that doesn't mean it's already amended the Constitution.
No, yes,
you know,
yes, 100%. And I don't mean to sound I don't mean to sound like that. I'm saying that you're doing this. I'm just going over years of conversations with the prominent individuals who started this movement, you know, going back 12 years when it was first getting going before Mark Levin ever mentioned it, that sort of thing.
I've paid attention to this for quite a while too, and it seems like the biggest fear is the fact that once this convention is over with, we're going to have a brand new Constitution that's totally foreign to what we've known. Mm-hmm. And that's just not the case. You know, that's far from the case. All they're doing is saying the same thing that Congress does when they ratify an amendment.
Yeah.
You know, instead of the Congress putting together and 400, you know, however many people vote on it up there, you know, it's not it's not a constitutional amendment after that happens. It has to go out to the states.
It's
the last amendment, the 27th Amendment right now, that sat on the books since like 1789.
Yeah, it was there for a long time. Yeah, there for a long time. All right. Yeah, I mean, so, you're advocating for it, and you seem to understand the process better than most Convention of State proponents that I've talked to over the years, including, again, some of the big wigs and the local movements for it.
Well, I know state legislatures that have no idea what it is.
Oh, sure.
How it works.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that there's a lot of people who don't understand it. And like I said, a lot of those people are outside of the movement, but some of them are inside the movement as well. And as long as people are smart about it, and that's always been kind of one of my biggest things is I'm okay if you want to push this and you want to do it. You just have to understand that this is not going to be a conservatives walking in and changing things for the better sort of a scenario. There is going to be a dogfight.
There are people going to be going in there and saying, we want a balanced budget amendment, and we're going to formulate and put down on paper a balanced budget amendment, and we're going to throw it out to the states to have it ratified.
Yeah, it's you're going to get a lot of nutty things, which you're going to get a lot of nutty things that you alluded to as well that a lot of moderates will go for. And I'll give you a perfect example. I guess we red flag laws.
The thing of it is, right now, it's not going to happen the way it is. The way we think of the ratification process, we think it's impossible that it's going to happen because it's not, because of self-interest. And everybody's got the impression that Congress is the only way you can get an amendment started. Congress has to throw it to the states.
And the Convention of the States, just in case anybody's confused, I mean, the Convention of States is absolutely a constitutional and legal process. This is something that can happen. I have to double check the legislation in the state legislatures and see if you've met the threshold yet. You said that you did. I'll take your word for it, but I want to double check it. And if they have, then we can start making phone calls.
Convention that stop it at that. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be in D.C. actually in September, so I'll get the data and then I can start talking to politicians when I'm in D.C. for that convention. So, all right. Hey, Michael, I'm running a little bit late. I got to bail on you, but I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
You take care. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news.
Thank you, Matt, for the like on Facebook.
Service and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, book comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Steamy and stormy weekend. Humidity surges 82 on Saturday, mostly cloudy with a chance of scattered showers. Sunday could be a higher chance of rain.
And again, just because they proposed a convention doesn't mean it's passed. So a proposal doesn't matter. You have to actually pass.
Tuesday, scattered showers and storms with a high of 86, breaking the heat into Wednesday. Sunshine returns with a high of 80. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom.
95.3 MNC was Southern Symphony Orchestra tickets, and you can win a pair of tickets to 5 shows this season. To enter for a chance to win, text the word music to 45364.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Message and data rates apply.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger Pacino. Does this sound familiar? You have a toothache, haven't been to a dentist in years, and money is tight. You don't want to be pressured.
Thank you, Roy. Appreciate the like on Facebook.
About the lack of past dental care. You don't have dental insurance and need help, but you just don't know where to turn. At FDent, we can get you out of pain today. No one should have to live in dental pain. That's why FDent has an entire team dedicated to treating toothaches and dental emergencies. Stop in today, with or without an appointment, to receive the...
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Happy. I want to read it and get over it there, but...
cost is a concern.
But yeah, thank you for posting it.
That fit your budget. We're here to listen and provide the right dental solution to meet your needs.
Well, and here's the thing. So the Convention of States people, and you heard it in that call too, they're under the impression that that you're not going to fundamentally change the Constitution except for an amendment here and an amendment there. You can, absolutely can. It's one of the reasons that ALEC and the COSP have now shifted their strategy with this to having state legislatures pass laws that would limit the voting power of the delegates that get there. Because they understand that, yes, this can absolutely turn into a runaway. And there's a myth out there that you can do this and it is totally safe and it's simply like doing an amendment and it's not a big deal. But this thing can absolutely get out of control. 100% it can get out of control. And the only evidence that you need for that is you can look at the Articles of Confederation. So, absolutely, there's slightly more protections than there used to be, but this thing can get absolutely out of control. And if they're not prepared for that to happen, then they're not prepared for a convention of states, period. And they're going to get run over.
Be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free.
That's right. For me, the big thing is that
go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com.
Once the convention convenes, then the rules are established. And the only people responsible for setting the rules are the delegates at the convention themselves. So they can essentially do whatever they want. And if you don't have, again, that's why ALEC and the COSP are trying to get state legislatures to pass limitations on how those delegates could vote. They can do whatever they want, man, and that is hugely concerning. And there's different convention of states groups and some of them are just wildly wrong about what the convention can and cannot do. Others are much more accurate. So that ignorance of a convention of states also is extremely dangerous. And like I said, liberals have been pushing for this for decades, so they're going to be prepared when they go in there. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Excuse me. It is open lines. Back to the phones we go. Ted, welcome to the program.
I'm sorry, sir, for disturbing you all the time.
No, not a problem. What's up?
No, I'm going to make a short history of my life. I studied in the seminary 7 years in Europe. Then I came to St. Vladimir, the Russian one in New York. They are very anti-Semitic. Then I went to Concordia Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod. I did not find anti-Semitic people over there. Then I went to Jesuits in St. Louis and Loyola University. In Loyola University, I found a Jesuit priest that was anti-Semitic. We were never taught that Israel is Palestine. Israel was Israel and was not Palestine. Palestine was given the name by the Romans. That's it.
Yeah, so the whole name of Palestinian was created by the Romans to insult the Israelites and the Jews over the ancient and extinct enemy of the Phoenicians, not Phoenicians, but the other ones, the Philistines.
Now I'm going to give you something else.
Yeah.
Look in the disinformation by Pachepa and look at chapter 33, disinformation by Pachepa. P-A-C-E-P-A.
Okay.
Chapter 33 is telling over there that protocols of the elders of Zion was translated into Arabic language in 1972 and was given to the Romanian security, the Hungarian and Bulgarian, to be disseminated among the Arabic people. Was translated in Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, the communist bloc, they had 4,000 agents sent to the Arab country, all the Arab country, as engineer, medics, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to give them to the Arabian this perjury. So that's all that I want to tell you.
All right. Yeah. No.
He said we said thousands, 100,000 of copy were given.
Awesome.
Were given to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the information. Hey, Ted, I got to run.
Okay.
Appreciate the call.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You too. You too. Yeah. When I did I used to do the historical perspectives thing when I was in Las Vegas in my first couple of years of radio, and I would do that on my Saturday show. And I would take 3 hours and I would do the entire history of something. And the most popular show that I've done still to this day has been the history of Israel. And I went all the way back to ancient times. And the Palestinian people were a people that were manufactured by the Romans as an insult to the Jews after one of the rebellions. So, you know, again, it was designed to insult the Jews and the Israelites, if you will, that were in the Roman territory of Israel, the ancient land of Judea, because of the last revolt that they had there, and there was mocking the Jews by naming them after an ancient and extinct enemy that was no longer around. Nobody really knows what happens to them. They were driven to the sea and they disappeared. Some people believe that their genealogy survived on some islands and things like that, but there was no such thing as a Palestinian people. It was manufactured by the Romans. Now, again, when the Palestinians tell you that they were there before the Israelites, it's totally untrue. Now, when you look at what happened after World War I, yes, it is true that the people that we now call Palestinians were there on a lot of that land before the European Jews who were fleeing what had happened in Europe arrived. That is true. But if you're going to go, if they're going to sit there and say, well, this was our land before theirs, well, then you still have to go back in time before that and go, well, it was the Roman land before it was yours. And then you go back before that and, it's the Mamluks before the Romans. And then you go back before that. Eventually you arrive at, guess what? The Israelites. So you can't, because the only other people that were in the area that could have made a claim are extinct. They disappeared. Again, a lot of people believe that they were killed off by the Israelites, and that's certainly possible, but they were extinct. They don't belong there. When you get into the whole, well, if we go back, a little bit before you got here, it was actually our land and you stole it. Well, you can play that game forever. I mean, you could totally play that game forever. And they try to do that with us and Native Americans. Well, it was Native American land before yours. Okay, cool. Which tribe? Well, this land used to be Navajo. Okay, but before it was Navajo, it was this other tribe. So maybe we should take it away from us and then take it away from the Navajo and give it to another tribe too. And then who had it before them? Oh, a different tribe. Okay, maybe we should give it to them. And then at what point do we stop going back in history and reverting back to those old political lines? And this is where, again, we get to this. Frankly, it's lazy. This lazy argument of we have to redraw political maps simply because of conquest. And conquest is now somehow seen as a theft, if you will. Well, the entire planet and all of the borders on our planet are a result of conquest. Literally every single one. They're all a result of conquest. So you would have to change the barriers and the borders and everything else of every nation on Earth. And nobody is willing to do that. Why? Because that's insane and stupid. But what they do is they focus on the most successful ones around now, which namely is us, and a couple of other places out there as well. And they try, well, it was stolen from us. It wasn't stolen from you. There was a war and you lost. And I'm sorry that you lost and you feel a little upset about that. And certainly some of the treatment of your people afterwards were not great, but it was better than historically they would have been treated, because they could have been murdered, enslaved, and a whole host of other things. And none of that happened. So there's this intellectual laziness that happens when you start getting into these whole, well, it was actually their land before your land sort of a thing. Because at what point do you stop? Because obviously, if you were to entertain the Palestinian idea that Israel was their land before the Jews were given the land, you'd have to actually belong to the British. And then they go, well, we were here before the British. Okay, but then there were these other people that were there before you. So should we just give it back to them? And then they go, no, you don't give it back to them. Well, I mean, technically it was, it belonged to the Romans before it belonged to any of you. In fact, the Romans manufactured you out of thin air. So why shouldn't we give it back to Italy? Because they want it. So they only stop giving it back to the people who used to control the land when they're going to lose the land, right? So it's totally intellectually lazy. It's dishonest. It's pathetic. But people continue to do that. And Rashid Tlaib got caught lying today. It's that simple. She got caught lying. She got busted lying. So did Ilhan Omar. I didn't even cover her. And now they don't know what to do because they got busted. We got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news.
Among our top stories this afternoon, the city of South Bend has a new city clerk, at least for the next few months. Dawn Jones was elected yesterday via a special caucus to the position after Karina.
It's 1024th mile land. Yeah, there you go.
With the South Bend schools. There were a total of 8
Oh, John McCain was without a doubt losing his mind. There's no question.
Because Fowler was already on the ballot uncontested for the next election. And that's too late to change, so they will hold another special caucus in January when the new term begins. And a South Bend man faces a list of charges after being stopped in Elkhart County yesterday.
The 32-year-old Daniel Kovach's charges include possession of heroin, possession of cocaine, 2 counts of possession of a legend drug, 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of MDA, dealing narcotics.
Michiana's the news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
And OWI endangerment. Police started tailing him on the toll road as they say he was weaving back and forth.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Stopping at mile marker 92, but he continued for another 4 miles before finally stopping. He told the officer he was listening to Last Dance with Mary Jane and didn't see that he was being pulled over. In total, they pulled 7.5 grams of suspected heroin, 8 grams of suspected
Is Kern,
cocaine.
is US 31 to Plymouth, is that still jacked up?
I will go ahead and get that out there as soon as I can. Yep. I don't know, but US 20 bypass is jacked up.
It's not one thing, it's the other, man.
And why this man was taken off of suicide watch, and why was the highest profile inmate at the situation in which he did not have a cellmate.
The Justice Department sending an action team to investigate how the 66-year-old could take his own life while in federal custody. Police in Portland, Oregon, bracing for the
something
possibility
to do with the fact that the guards were asleep.
as far-right groups and left-wing anti-fascist demonstrators plan to take to the streets.
Tinfoil nut you.
The
The guards were not asleep, they were tranked. The Joker threw a gas grenade in there, and that's what knocked them out. That's what happened.
Weather sponsored by
I think I was one of the first people in the country to do a profile on Sarah Palin because I knew who she was. Because almost nobody knew who she was when he picked her.
Now, Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' first warning forecasts.
A few isolated showers and thunderstorms this evening into the overnight. It's going to be muggy tonight. Temperatures staying above 70 until midnight, then falling into the mid-60s. Humid this weekend, a high of 82 on Saturday with a chance for more scattered showers and thunderstorms. The pattern continues to the weekend. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, Chief Meteorologist Tom Cooney.
News powered by Temper Grill. Make plans this week to experience the unmatched style of Temper Grill. Seating is limited. Call or visit tempergranger.com today.
When we say food with attitude, what we mean is the finest American-style tapas food in Michiana. Surrounded by a craft beer, fine wine, champagne, and dessert list that is as unique and seasonal as our menu. At Temper Grill, Chef Sean will give you finest ingredients to deliver you an unmatched dining experience.
Every time my wife takes a picture of my eldest, I have very mixed feelings. I'm proud, and then I'm also petrified, because it is crystal clear that Bree is going to be an absolute knockout. It is crystal clear. And that scares the hell out of me. With as social as she is,
buy gift cards or make a simple dinner reservation at tempergranger.com. Unplug and relax with a truly unforgettable dining experience. Because life is too short and the food is too good to break bread in a bad mood. Temper Grill. Food with attitude.
yeah. We tried telling McCain that too. And I told his staff when he was running, I'm like, you know, they're going to turn on you, dude. Brad was talking about how he thought the press was going to be on his side. Like, they're going to turn on you. Oh, no, he's got a great relationship with the press. And there it is. John McCain is a white supremacist. All these people that loved hanging out with him, always had him on the show, liked him quite a bit, now calling him a Nazi. Yeah, and so I had a moment today with Harper. I get them with Harper, too. Harper has these facial expressions that she does. She's much more... She has more facial expressions than Bree has. And Harper she looks like one of those, too. And it's not... I'm looking at it not just as a dad who thinks his kids are beautiful. I'm looking at it as a bystander, looking at it and going, ah, crap, I'm in big trouble. So, I have a feeling that the Hendrickson sisters are going to have a reputation for being lookers at whatever school they're at. The real question is, can I get their attitudes under control so they don't go out and do something stupid in a vengeful anti-dad move? They're both quick to temper, like I am.
I can't believe I'm getting married today. Do you have the ring? Do I look okay?
Son, it's all taken care of. You buttoned up nice, and the ring's with Bobby. Honestly,
yeah, I hear you, Tracy. I hear you.
When you announced the engagement, all I saw was
I mean, I would rather them be beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to not be pretty. It's certainly going to make their life so much better, but it's still petrifying. It's just so scary, knowing that I am going to have to be kicking people who are pursuing them out of my house all the time.
Browse through top designers with specially trained associates, Judy Girls, who provide personal color and style analysis. And view one-of-a-kind dresses like Molsheri Komarov that can't be found anywhere else in the area. The Judy Girls won't let you leave the store without something that doesn't look just right. Judy's.
Late bloomer is better. Yeah.
You, with locations in Laporte, Granger,
probably teaches them more character.
No one likes a smoke alarm ringing in the middle of the night, but neither do they want to be awakened.
Who knows? Maybe they'll hit an ugly streak. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Snoring is just one of the symptoms, but it can be treated. The doctors at Mahoney Family Dentistry offer relief from those suffering from snoring and apnea. Whether you are looking for an alternative to an uncomfortable sleep CPAP machine or find yourself tired every morning, you can rely
God, those cops are in such big trouble.
experience a healthier you.
And that happened like last weekend where they pulled their guns on the Yankees GM or something. This happened like the beginning of the week. I mean, they are in big trouble.
Wait, what? Who do they think they was?
I don't know. It was mistaken identity, but he's the general manager of the effing Yankees. And they pulled him out of his car and drew guns on him and everything.
You can even pick up kosher take-home deli meat from Midwest Kosher and Deli. But act fast. There's a limited amount of half-off certificates left.
I'm hoping that he's being cool about it. You know, but if he really wanted to, like, most powerful person in New York is the mayor. The second most powerful person is probably the general manager of the effing Yankees. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595. 953. It is open lines. I want to head back to the phone lines real quick, but first, we've got some traffic updates. The bypass is jacked up. Where's that?
Where did they say it was? I think somewhere around 19 is where they said it was.
Okay, and then we also had the issue with US 31 south to Plymouth. That was a parking lot about 40 minutes ago, and I haven't heard an update on that. So there is some traffic out there. If you run into anything, please let us know. 574-25-95-95-3. It is open lines. Back to the phones we go. Mitchell, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good evening. How are you doing?
It's morning somewhere, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
It's somewhere. It's Friday.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be very... can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. I hear music in the background. I'm sorry. Better?
That was Joe's fault. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Anyway. Good. I'll be very quick. Yes or no, I need your opinion.
Mm-hmm. I hate it.
Good. Do you think it'd be wise for President Trump to declare martial law?
Would it be wise for him to declare martial law?
Yes, good idea.
No.
No.
Why would he declare martial law?
Lots of reasons. Detroit, Chicago, LA. In rough areas.
So Roland on our stream was talking about this yesterday, I think it is. He's from Detroit. He's talked about how the police department was under federal control for many, many, many years. So I mean, there's things that you can do with, to clean up corruption and things like that without doing martial law. No, if he declared martial law and there wasn't a justifiable reason for him to declare martial law, and I don't think high crime would be a justifiable reason, he would find a lot of people on the political right take up arms against him, I think.
Well, Chicago needs it. Definitely Chicago needs it. In Philadelphia, just recently, they had that shooting and the crowd started attacking the police department.
Yeah, some people in the crowd, right. In fact, the reporter who reported that, she's now being harassed again today because she had the audacity to tell people that was happening. God forbid. The problem with Philadelphia is their district attorney is a whack job. Mm-hmm. And so they have this rule in Philadelphia, and I didn't talk about this during the shooting, and I don't know if you're aware of it, Mitchell, but they have this rule in Philadelphia where the DA has the discretion to not charge you with gun crimes and things like that as kind of like it's not scared straight's not the right word, but they have the discretion to not do it in order to go ahead and not overpopulate the prisons. Well, several previous DAs before the current guy did it like 10 times, 12 times. This dude's done it like 78 times. And so these gun criminals who are repeat offenders keep getting out on the streets. And it was meant to be a way for the DA to correct a glitch in the system, something that where an innocent person could get caught up in the language of the law, and it would give the DA, the discretion to go and get them off. And this guy is just letting repeat offenders off left and right who are gun criminals, and then you start having these huge upticks in violent crime and all of that. So does it need martial law? I'm not there. No, I'm not there. But does there need to be something, and can the federal government have a place there? Sure. I think so.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for your opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Every weekend.
All right, you too. Martial law is one of those things. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie The Siege, and it's with Bruce Willis and Denzel Washington. And if you ask me, it's one of the most underrated films of those two actors. Plus, you had two powerhouse actors on the screen at the same time. And there was a scene in there where Bruce Willis, who played the general, Denzel Washington played the cop. This is all pre-9/11, and they're talking about terrorism in New York and martial law and everything else. And the decision came down for martial law to be implemented. I remember Bruce Willis, as the general, said, "I will do my job. However, the Army is a blunt force tool, and we're not a scalpel." And paraphrasing the scene, I don't remember the exact lines. And so even though he said, "Look, if you declare martial law, I'm going to do it, but you need to understand something. It's going to be ugly. You don't want the Army on the streets of an American city." And I have always agreed with that. As somebody who is in the military, if the Army is on the streets, it had better be for a darned good reason. I don't believe that high crime is that reason. Chicago has a huge problem with crime. Baltimore has a huge problem with crime. There's no doubt about that. And like I said, I believe that there is a federal component to help with that. Martial law, I don't believe, is the right component for that. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, Book Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Well, that's just it, Steve. When do you stop going back in time and giving it to the original occupants, right?
Sunday could be a higher chance of rain, high of 86, with scattered showers and storms. Monday is a little drier, partly cloudy, but highs reach close to 90, a high of 88 on Monday. The heat index likely in the mid-80s. Tuesday, scattered showers and storms.
Thank you, Roland. I think it's a fantastic movie. And nobody talks about it when they talk about the great filmography of Denzel Washington and Bruce Willis. And I think that was a fantastic film. It ended up being prophetic because of everything that happened with 9/11. And at the time, 9/11, had not occurred, and yet here's this movie about all of this, and it honestly predicted a lot of crap that actually went down. Just so you guys know, I have an appointment to get to, so I'm going to bounce out here real fast. Okay, so I'm going to end the show, and then I'm going to end the stream like right after that.
Every day, month after month, year after year, you've fallen so far that you can't see the light.
Casey, my problem is that Paul Manafort was held in isolation for lying, and a pedophile who is well known to high-profile people was not. I mean, I don't know the circumstances of his day-to-day stuff, but you do bring up a valid point. Epstein was not treated as harshly as Manafort or certain political people have been treated. There's no doubt about that. Now, that doesn't mean that Epstein was treated too leniently. It just means that Manafort was clearly being abused. I wish it was with my hammock, dude. I do. I wish. The weather may not allow that to happen today.
At Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment, we know you want your lawn to look its best all year long. Summer sunshine and heat mean you have to pay extra attention to your lawn and the equipment you use to maintain your lawn. Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment has what you
What's up, Blue? How you doing?
done right. Purchasing your outdoor power equipment.
Thanks for joining us.
Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment means you have someone right in your backyard to service your equipment and someone to answer questions. Like how often.
All right, I got to do the lawn story.
Am I mowing too much? Too little? We understand and we are here to help. Unlike the big box stores,
Can you record my promo first? Let me do that.
Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment offers service at both of our
I really do have to run.
and
That's fine.
locations. We can even pick up your equipment and drop it off when it's done. Visit WeaverAgAndLawn.com for location information and hours. And get connected now. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I don't have anything at home to eat.
Weaver Ag and Lawn Equipment, where hard work comes to get done.
Hi, this is
Gotta
Dwayne
come up with
Miller
something.
with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house that want to
Need
sell
to go
it fast
shopping.
and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7
What
days.
is the first
I buy
thing
houses
that you
in any
notice
condition,
about
any
a
price
person?
range, and in any location. I am not a
Male, female, and what's the environment?
houses a month, and I want to buy you even more. Call me at 574
Because I tend to look
5678.
at people's foreheads and noses.
Behind in payment houses. I
Generally.
even buy my tenant will pay me the rent houses. You own a house that is trash.
But if I'm on the beach, that may not necessarily be the first thing I notice.
I buy vacant
Just being honest.
abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house
I am
that
blue.
sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678.
Where is 31 backed up? Last I heard, about an hour ago, was Kern. About Kern. So it was southbound, and it was right around Kern. Pork chops are on sale at Martin's. All right, maybe.
7 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily at your favorite Mexican restaurant, Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. Monterey's breakfast menu boasts the same high quality you'll get the rest of the day. Made fresh daily to keep you coming back week after week.
57.20 today.
57.20. Man.
Hot and cold breakfast beverages with 3 alcoholic options to choose from too.
Ooh, they had me at alcoholic options. That's what I need. I need ginger ale. I have a date with my Johnny Walker Black this weekend. That is going down.
Wake up early with Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill for breakfast. You know it's what you want.
We're your home for the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, here we go.
Weeknight 6 till 9, exclusively on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel. Your breaking news and weather
Station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. Hey, don't forget, go to youtube.com/Casey the host. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It makes them very angry when I get new subscribers. So let's just go ahead and stick it to them. And youtube.com/Casey the host. Hit that subscribe button, then click on the bell icon and make sure you choose all notifications. So anytime I post a video or go live, you should get a notification so long as YouTube deems you worthy to do so. All right, I teased this story. I know it's the end of the show, but I wanted to get this out here. The New York Times says that lawns are symbols of racism and are bad for global warming. This is amazing. Plants are bad for global warming. While most Americans are spending time this summer enjoying the sun in the comfort of their houses' yards, the New York Times is out with an expose on how lawn care is problematic once viewed through the lens of social justice. Of course. Lawns are contributing to pollution and climate change, asserts narrator David Bawdy, and their origins are far from woke in a 7-minute video on the history of American lawns. Okay, first of all, who cares if the first people to have lawns were racists? That doesn't mean that you can never engage with lawn care and be happy about your lawns. If you really wanted to talk about the history of products, again, when do we stop talking about products or houses or things of that nature? You realize the first human beings who did not live out among the stars and actually had a dwelling engaged in slavery. Therefore, homes, ladies and gentlemen, houses, all of that stuff, dwellings, they're all rooted in racism and bigotry and slavery. So we should not have any houses or anything like that. What if the guy who invented air conditioning, I have no idea if this is true. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. What if the guy who invented air conditioning was a white supremacist? Should we get rid of air conditioning now? I'm asking a question. There's a lot of rumors about some of the prominent people who invented automobiles were not exactly the nicest people in the world. So maybe we should get rid of automobiles. What about trains? First person who invented a train. What if they were a racist? We got to get rid of that too? You see where we can go with this? Again, it's an intellectually lazy and stupid argument. Lawns are contributing to pollution and climate change, according to this narrator. Bawdy says that lawns are part of the colonizing of America, which transformed the landscape from pristine wilderness to identical rows of manicured nature. Now, for one, if you just let the grass grow, okay, it'll grow to its natural state and it'll kind of take care of itself, but you're going to get a lot of bugs, all right? Now, if you're okay with a bunch of bugs and things like that out there, fine, so be it. These lawns came on the backs of slaves, he continued. They still do. All right? Do you know how many Hollywood celebrities hire indentured servants to mow their lawns and maintain their gardens? They still do. Anyway, he zoomed in on a painting of George Washington in a field to highlight men cutting the grass. It's grueling, endless work, he said. Yeah, using scythes tend to be pretty difficult. Although there is this guy on YouTube who uses scythes to cut his grass and to do various yard things, and he does it as a demonstration. And honestly, it's quicker and easier than a lot of mowers. If you've got a small space, obviously. If you got, lots of land, it's probably not going to be. So there you go. If you like your lawn, congratulations, you're a racist, and you also want to kill the planet, in spite of the fact that this person is an absolute imbecile. But again, when does it stop? It's like all these people want to boycott Israel, and they don't want any Israeli products in the United States. How many of them are willing to give up their iPhones? None. Exactly. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week.
If you're interested in quality custom...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. You know what? I'm going to roll some credits here. Let's do that. I can roll some credits while I get this all taken care of for the show prep. Had a lot of people on Facebook today, but I don't know if it... Yeah, see, like nothing registers. Like the credits are so small. Would you agree that liberals have driven progress in the past? Well, see, okay, that is a tough question, Blue, because classical liberalism isn't modern progressivism. It's very different, and classical liberalism has done a lot of good. Progressivism hasn't done a lot. They've done a little, but they haven't done a lot. So it's a good question, though. But yeah, that's a tough one to dive into. We're going to have to address that at some other point. All right, folks. I have got to bounce. So thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff. Have a great weekend. Look for moto vlogs, hopefully this weekend, coming up on the YouTube channel. And again, you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday.